This time, my friends, welcome. Saturday night, we have a special guest, and I'm so pleased. Let me do the introductions. I think, in terms of this world of candescence, whatever you call this particular genre that we are in, she is meteoric. And I bring to you, I call her the irrepressible. I never understood what that meant exactly, but the irrepressible YouTube phenom, Christine FEKETE joins us. Christine, welcome.
Hello. I got to tell you, Doug read the introduction that you wrote that I guess showed up on Facebook when you were promoting this. He loved it. I mean, he had to come in and read it to me. And it was like the sweetest talking he'd given me in a long time.
Well, you are extremely good. I'll talk a little bit more about that later, but in terms of there's a style. Everybody else pretty much, I mean, I shouldn't say this. You have a style which nobody else talks about or perhaps describes or explicates with any accuracy. But let me get down to brass tacks. First, tell us about you so that we know what do you want us to know about you, which is oftentimes forgotten in these introductions.
Well, thank you for asking. It's what do I want you to know about me?
Yes.
or what could you find if you Googled?
No. I didn't do any deep dives. No.
No, you don't have to go deep. You could just watch a comedy show and it's out there. I moved to LA in 2016 from Nashville, Tennessee. I had been married. Oh, see, I don't even know. It's like when people ask where I'm from. I was born in Columbia, Maryland, but we lived in Japan and Germany and Evansville, Indiana for a dozen years, and then London for 6 years, and then Nashville for almost 20 years. How many years is that? Am I now 80 years old by that math?
I did not even follow. No, it's whatever brought you to this. That's your thing. I hate when people read your bio, but which you may or may not look to. Let's talk about this. Did you ever find yourself thinking you would be this phenom or that YouTube, I almost want to say it's a character, but it's not. It's you. But when you go into Christine character, when you hold that little thing, that little Chaplin mustache, that fuzzy thing, there's a tone, there's a sarcasm, and you want to sometimes come out of your skin. You're holding back, you're trying to smile, but underneath that, there's like this, and the pauses, the editing is superb. The look,
thank you.
The double takes, sometimes no need to say anything. I think it's your comedic background, the timing of it, because sometimes when let's say Erica says something that's just ridiculous. No need to comment. Res ipsa loquitur. It speaks for itself. So that's an excellent. So how did you develop your style?
When I moved out here, at somewhere in this story, I need to throw out, like, Doug and we got married when he was 20. I was 23. We met at Western Kentucky University. We were married for 18 years. We have 8 children. We have 4 birth and 4 adopted children.
Wow.
I heard that Barron has 8 birth children. And see, to me, that's crazy. Like, who would birth 8 children?
Just now, I thought Barron Trump. This is how weird I am. I'm thinking,
oh,
is this that time traveler thing? Maybe no, but I did not know about it.
Oh my gosh, yeah. So we have very, very full life. I started Think Happy Stuff in 2006.
What is that?
And Think Happy Stuff is my little gift company. It's what helps keep us going. It's the tagline is change your thinking, change your world. Think Happy Stuff. It's my handwriting. I was having a hard time doing so. I had 7 children at home under the age of 11 at the time. Couldn't afford childcare and couldn't afford much of anything. We were living, I think, not far from where Candace is now, but it's back in Franklin, Tennessee, back in 2001 at this time. And like our house that we bought for $140,000 sold for like 1.3 million. or something. I mean, it's just crazy. Let me tell you this. I should be able to hear myself, right? On these. Hey, Doug.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you perfectly, and you can hear.
Yes.
But
you might not even need them. You might not even need them at all if you could hear me and I can hear you.
I can hear me. Okay. All right. Usually I can hear me a little bit. I'm talking to Doug. He really exists. People wonder if he really exists.
He's not that character like in, what was that Alan movie, the fellow in the backyard, Home Improvement, that neighbor you never really saw him.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So the mysterious Doug.
And that's kind of our thing, because he balances, we're like, we balance each other out that
Yin
way.
and yang.
Yeah. So we were married for 18, 19 years. And then we divorced. And I got myself into a not so great relationship with a narcissist, which plays into why aspects of Trump and Erica Kirk, like everything. I'm 57 now, and it seems like everything in my life, my Catholic background, evangelical background, life experiences, I feel like I have been prepared for such a time as this. And I moved out here basically to survive. I was escaping a narcissistic relationship. It was textbook narcissist, empath, like two ticks and no dog. Just two people, passionately committed to sucking the life out of each other. I lost myself completely. I could have helped another woman in my situation at that time. I could not help me. I was, had discovered vodka cranberry and Xanax and Ambien. I was self-medicating to stay in this relationship. Had a breakdown, which involved driving my car into the front of our house, not Doug's, but this other guy. And what's fascinating is that when I tell this story on stage, which is what I do, because comedy was a way to just process my stuff, really cheaper than therapy. And so much. There's just so much. There's so much in my story. It's it like bottlenecks at some point. And with the dates and stuff, like that is one of the 2 or 3 things that I don't fault Erica for. When people were, exploding that she couldn't remember like her wedding date and things like that. They're like, oh, see, she never loved him. They were talking about wedding dates and anniversaries and she couldn't come. I have the same issue. I just can't, it just doesn't always stick there.
I know what you're saying.
Okay. So I moved out here to get away from that. Yeah. And
you did.
And I did. And, because when one drives their car into a house, you rack up damage over $500. So it was considered a felony. So when I moved out here, I couldn't get a job even driving for Uber. So I got into background acting, my friend, because they don't do background checks.
What is background acting? You mean like crowds?
Oh, no, it's what they used to refer to as being an extra. And
did you ever see the movie Memories of Me with Alan King? He played the greatest extra. And all these pictures, Ben-Hur, Citizen Kane, he's in the background and he circles the device, me. It's called Memories of Me. It's Billy Crystal, Alan King. It is great. It reminded me of your travails. Anyway, proceed.
Yeah. So it's funny, some people would get into, watching Desperate Housewives, but my friends just had to watch my social media, right? Because they saw me from being a youth group leader to their kids, or maybe it were the kids now that were adults that were following me, and they saw me just learn how to take care of myself ultimately, which mothers have a hard time doing. Although I think we can be accused by our children of being really selfish at times. It's, we have to practice.
It's easy to give, physician heal thyself. It's easier to give the love and the guidance. it's difficult sometimes to self-direct.
Yeah. Yeah. So I came out here. I had a daughter who was 16 at the time. She had an agent and manager that wanted her out here. I was 47 with a record and no plan at all. And so it took a little while for the record to get cleared. But by this time I was doing background acting, which was, I just wanted to blend. You know, the role of a background actor is to not stand out
Right.
or be special in any way. And at that point in my life, I just wanted to blend. And I should, at some point, I will share a picture of myself when I moved out here. I was 203 pounds.
Really?
You know, I was just wearing my depression. You could just see it on my entire being. But, you know, but in 2018, my dad did die and leave me a little money. And I did have a little work done, which I know is what he would want for me.
Mm-hmm.
So,
but that's good though. It makes you feel better. But look how you came to blend in, to hide, to become the scenery, to become the furniture, so to speak. And now you're front and center. You're anything but the background. And you're doing something in a way that is so, it's out there in this medium that sometimes there isn't a day that goes by, and maybe you're the same way, where I'm thinking, is this not the greatest? What is this? I love this. It's incredible.
Want to do this. I want to do this above everything else. I love being on set. I love the industry. I understand there's some deep, dark, seedy strings, but I have met the most incredible people. Just beautiful people. I've had amazing experiences of you know, interacting with John Lithgow, Jane Fonda, Lily Tomlin, who is magical. She's just magical. I've never had that adjective pop in to, but just these amazing experiences, and I just soaked it all up. But I was not created to be in the background.
But what about this? But this environment, YouTube,
this is all I want.
This is I like I was saying, I try to explain to people. I've done other stuff before, you know, talk radio and this. I'm thinking, yeah, but this is where it's at. This is so intimate. This is fun. This, if you know how to do it, it's an art form. You mentioned something which is very interesting. Everybody has something that you connect with. Maybe there's a story. Sometimes I knew somebody one time, there was a woman I worked with, she was a prosecutor. And one time this judge did like this and she went berserk. She almost was held in contempt. She says, "I'm sorry, Judge, my father did that to me." And I said, wow. And everybody kind of harkens back. Trump reminds me of a million people I've met. Erica reminds me of a million people. Candace says, I've just met a lot of people. Mm-hmm. And I think I understand the psychologies of this. And if you do, you appreciate, forget what they're saying, but who they are.
Yes. Yeah. And that's a benefit, right? Of being older. We see this, you know, those of us who have had, you know, we pick up the micro expressions, and those of us who have survived narcissistic abusers or, sexual abusers. I'm still learning what we can say on YouTube. You can pretty much say anything, right? So we pick that up. So, but when Trump first came on the scene, it was very difficult to communicate that well to peers in our evangelical circle at the time, because you would just get labeled as whatever, some crazy lib. I don't fit into any of those boxes. You give me enough time, I'll piss you off. You know, well, if you follow me because you think I'm this, no, just wait. Just wait.
I know that one all too well. But this is not about that. This is I'm going to tell you, a new political party. I don't know what it's called. I don't know. Truth. I mentioned, you know, Candace was kind of like, I think this lamp, this light that we attract to. We're moths, and she's the moon. I don't want to be too fanciful here, but this is like a candescence. So we all kind of came in here and we all sat around and we said, can you believe this? Can you believe this one over? This is nuts. And then we say, hey, how are you? What's your name? And the next thing you know, we have this little family. And
yeah, I saw Barron mention this to you. I watched some of your time together, and I loved how he pointed out, he said to you, I don't really know what your politics are. And that's not what this is about. I had never watched Candace before. Like never. I mean, there was a point when somebody sent me a video like, oh, you need to watch her. And I'm like, I can't. There was something at that point in history. And like you pointed out earlier, everybody reminds us of somebody in some capacity. And I don't know what it was, the psychology of myself at the time, the stars were, it just wasn't.
Well, how did you get in? How did you get into this with Charlie and Erica? How did you stumble into that?
Well, gosh, you couldn't get out of bed without tripping over Erica Kirk, could you?
No, but wait, stop for one second. A lot of people don't notice it. Tonight's that White House correspondence.
Yeah.
And some people love her. Newsmax had a picture. Very seriously, Newsmax said President Trump is going to use Erica Kirk in his move for midterms. I'm thinking, are you kidding? Are you nuts? This is Typhoid Mary and whatever rolled up into one. And there are folks from Fox News who think she's the greatest thing in the world. And people, and I'm thinking, there are people who don't even understand that Kash Patel comes across perhaps a bit daft. So I don't know where they are. But a lot of people I don't think they've studied it enough, so they don't see this. And they think it's open and shut. They think it's Tyler Robinson, and that's it. And Charlie Kirk isn't even mentioned, and let's move on. You'd be surprised how many people they are. So there are some people who not really like her, but haven't noticed her.
That's interesting. I will tell you that 8 months ago, I got on the phone with a friend of mine, and I mentioned something about what Stephen Miller was doing. Mm-hmm. She didn't know who I was talking about. And I wish to God I could have recorded that conversation. It was so absurd. I was rolling. Like there was a part of me that wanted to rip her head off, but it was so absurd. And I was like, how do you do that? Like how do you, but it's the brain. I know how we do. I mean, the brain self-protects. I mean, there's only so much we can take in. I get asked why I don't talk about the war more or these different things. I can't. I'm aware. I know what's going on, but I can't. I know what my limitations are.
May I just give you, and I think you know this, from a professional point of view, find the thing. You're going to be a band. You're going to be a restaurant. You're going to be something. Are you Mexican? Are you Italian? Do you play country and Western? Find your gig, stick with it, and don't say, I think I'm going to change right now. I think, the glockenspiel might be a nice addition. No, don't. If something works, and if you're there, explore that. Nobody wants to hear me on the war. I am so, I don't want to say, I hate to say it, bored with it. Tell me something I don't know. Give me something unique. Give me something that maybe that doesn't involve the word genocide. I understand that. But Erica is a Rorschach test. Erica is, Let me ask you a question. If you sat with her, if I said, she came in and she says, I want to talk to you. And she lay down on your couch and you were going to talk to her, knowing what you know, being a bit of an empath yourself, somebody who understands feelings. What would you ask her? What would you want to know? What do you think would surprise her about it? Is she that much of a phony, or is she a bad actress? Or is there, they say that,
what do you do?
For example,
I'm sorry, Doug is playing with my, I can't hear myself. Usually I can hear myself. Oh, what?
Your head's cut off.
My head was cut off?
No, it looks fine.
Was it cut off before?
I think it looked okay then. Whatever you
okay. Wow.
Doug knows best.
All right.
But anyway,
what I would ask her, I would ask the demon to name itself. That's what I would ask her. Like a priest in an exorcism, I would command the demon to name itself. There's my reaction, even when you were saying, you know, if you were like face to face with her, or there would be such a spiritual kind of protection going into that situation. I mean, that's how real it is. I get like in the let me say
She really hit a nerve with she really hit a nerve with you.
Well, what it is that there is this realization that's happening that many have had, but that it's not about left and right, that they've played us against each other, right?
Right.
The other veil that has been thinning is between, you know, people who have never considered spiritual things before are going, what is happening? Like, because what you said,
right.
How do people not see this? You know, remember the blue dress, the yellow dress, or the gold dress and the black dress?
Right.
And there were physical reasons, you know, why people saw it different ways, or scientific reasons, or whatever it was. But to not see Erica or certain things attached, there's a spiritual element to it. It's they have awoken the beast in me. I got to tell you that, to their detriment, because I come from this, like I said, a Catholic background,
me too,
evangelical background. Like I did the, you know, got saved thing. I don't like that language, but in college went into full-time evangelical ministry, working with kids, working with high schoolers. You know, so all this taps into, I don't want to say my triggers, because triggers I think are associated to raging, but to my passions, to my innate being.
What do you think of Paula White? The evangelical, the glossolalia, hellfire and brimstone, Jimmy Swaggart. I was Slain in the Spirit by Ernest Ainsley, by the way. So I followed that kind of as an entertainment. I love evangelicals, love the study of it, love the psychology. She's doing 1960s revival tent, Jimmy Swaggart, speaking in tongues, glossolalia. She'll be doing, you know, snake handling next. And Trump doesn't realize this.
Trump doesn't care. He doesn't care. I mean, during COVID, I read all the books, all the Trump books. You know, from Bob Woodward to Stephanie, I'm blanking on her last name, the Melania and Me book, you know, the Michael Cohen book, you know,
I don't believe I don't see, but look, just so that you know, I don't hate Trump in the least. I don't hate him. And I know a lot about him. A lot of people don't know. And he's not what people think. I'm talking about the product and the president. You know, for all I know, Joe Biden may have had some wonderful qualities. Barack Obama might. I don't care about the personal. That we don't really know. I'm talking about, I thought people were politically astute to say, do not associate yourself with somebody who's doing Jimmy Swaggart, tent revival, Elmer Gantry, face in the crowd, screaming and yelling, and
the face in the crowd. Oh,
yeah, speaking in tongues in that weird kind of Tarzan, weird. And like, are you kidding me? This is so. I see that one. When was your red pill moment regarding Erica? When did you realize she was a phony? What was the moment?
Okay. Well, let me say this. I wish I could find where I read this, where it was Steve Bannon who said, if you're going to run, you need to run as a Republican, because he said that they'll be more gullible. I'm not saying I agree with that or not. I just remember reading this. This was his advice to him. And Michael Cohen gave accounts, which matched up with others, that Trump knew he needed this group, regardless of their bunga or snakes or whatever, that as long as it fell under the umbrella of Christendom, they would go along with it, because they could convince that the other people didn't. Okay, so when did I red pill? Do we know in the Matrix?
Yeah,
I read this once that we don't really know what color pill he took. Do we? Did we
That
see
I
it?
don't
I don't
know,
think we did.
but we
I don't
know.
think we
Well,
did.
put it this way: if that's the blue pill, I don't want to see the red pill. If that movie's about the blue pill,
Yeah.
but what was the moment? Because I never went in there thinking I knew nothing. I knew Charlie Kirk. I saw this woman. I didn't go out there thinking immediately that she was going to be some phony. To me, it was the coffin scene. When I saw that, that was it. That was it. I said, okay, here we go. This is it. And then 6 days later, that leaked Zoom call where she goes, "Hey guys," and she went through this almost like Glengarry Glen Ross, coffees for closers and how about that merch? And I thought, I'm seeing somebody here who there's no there, Dorothy Parker, whatever. There's nothing. She is performative. She is acting. She doesn't have her script. She's got the wrong role for the wrong matinee. She's in the wrong theater. She doesn't know. And then it just got worse. And instead of them stopping, they just said, well, she's going to be our meal ticket. She's going to be the golden goose, so to speak. And we'll just, and they also did not realize she's destroying it. She is.
That's what concerns me. I remember a point toward the end of the campaigning where Trump was saying things like, I don't need your vote. I don't need your vote. And in Pennsylvania, nobody knows the voting machines like Elon does. Mm-hmm. And so part of my concern is that the system is so rigged that it doesn't matter what she does or her being or anything, right, because they can just make it happen. I mean, look how brazen Charlie's assassination was. It was basically them saying, we can do whatever we want and you're not going to do anything about it.
Exactly. Yeah. Just like Epstein. Just like Epstein. Mm-hmm. They wanted you to do it in a federal holding cell. Federal. Mm-hmm. It's like, we could have done this very easy. He could have just disappeared and you would have never known it. And it would have been a lot easier. But I wanted to tell me, when did you see her when you realized, oh, wow.
The tarmac with Usha, which would have been before the coffin, right? Was that before the coffin?
The coffin, I think the coffin was in Arizona maybe might have been after. Anyway, it doesn't matter. But tell me about Usha.
Okay.
Take us back.
So the first visual I have of Erica Kirk is not her face. Mm-hmm. Wouldn't have recognized it anyway. Wait, but her coming off Air Force 2 and the hair and mm-hmm. the wind. I mean, it's a pretty dramatic mm-hmm. picture. And then, it just came on the TV. I wasn't even looking for it. Mm-hmm. I don't even know what else I was doing. It was just in the background. And then I happened to I saw this live the first time it happened, where Erica and Usha are walking toward, I guess, where the plane mm-hmm. is. And we now know it was probably Stacey Sheridan with her cell phone or something, is following, is following. Yeah. And they pause, like right on cue. Erica does a little like a weep thing. And Usha pulls her in. And what I presume is Stacey goes around with the camera and Usha kind of like looks up a little bit. And I was like, holy hell. But I didn't post about it because I didn't care. Right. I didn't care. I knew who Charlie was, but I wasn't that like invested, but I just thought, wow, this is interesting. And then the coffin thing happened. Of course, that went so viral. I didn't look for it. It just popped up on the social media. And I was like, wow, like this is like deep, creepy, weird,
exploitative. Actually, it's like selling. Like sometimes you would hear people would sell the inside the funeral home of Elvis or something. Family members. What did you think about when Erica grabs the back of JD's neck? It was like this was more than an embrace. It was a little bit like, wait a minute, hold it.
Oh yeah.
The same thing with Trump Daddy. She doesn't know what It's almost, years ago they said when we first heard about Asperger's and spectrum disorders, and this might have been overdone, but people would say that it was not uncommon for sometimes kids and people to go to movies and to say, no, this is called friendship, this is called seduction, this is called happy, this is called. It was like somebody said, okay, your role is, I feel like I'm a director, and I'm saying, no, your role is you're the bereaved widow, and sell it. Okay, ready, everybody, people, action. And she went into this and she did what she thought with this was the sign. She didn't even realize that she was a walking, just a walking gimmick. She never blew her nose. She never blew her nose one time, always with the dab of the eye. And then we start, and then she didn't realize that we're going to dissect everything. And that's where you come in. You will dissect it. Stop, freeze frame, back it up. It's like back it to the left. This is like an emotional Zapruder film. Watch this and then stop and look and say, did you see this? And then everybody did it. I've never seen this before. We never had this with any other crime or the idea of deep diving, but psychological dissection. It was a post-mortem. It's incredible. That's the part I love.
Yeah, because it's not a game. I mean, they're going after our kids. She calls them her kids.
Yeah. Like Jerry Lewis.
Yeah, I know the cult talk. I know the fundraising sticks, just from my experience and in that whole world. Not that I did it, but I know how it should be done right. I know what sincerity looks like in a fundraising process. But I was also, like, my degree is in corporate and organizational communications, a lot of PR, but I know this, I recognize this. This is what I was alluding to earlier. Like, when you've survived certain abusive situations, you see it when they walk in the room. You can just pick it up. But I see these micro expressions in her that to me are billboards. They're just like on blast. And I think I did a video once where I'm like, okay, you guys see that, right? Like I slow it down, but then sometimes I'm like, I don't know that everybody can see it, but I think I get it to a point where people can see it. But what I was going to say is, after the tarmac, after the creepy coffin thing, even after she went to his office, put the hand on the chair and was like, all the whispering,
Oh yeah.
Nothing. I didn't say anything because I was like, wow, she's creepy, but I've been around creepy people and evangelical or in these kind of fundraising, ministry. Like, there's an agenda here. I get cognitively what she's doing, not that invested. Where I said, game on, to quote her, I think she says that, is the memorial. The memorial. And it wasn't so much the fireworks,
the gold lame and the splendid. Okay, yeah. What was it?
It was disguising this white supremacist Christian nationalist hate rally as a memorial. And one thing I didn't agree with most of Charlie's platform across the board, but he believed it. He had integrity. He wasn't a player. He could tell you what he believed and look at you the whole time and not, every other sentence. She can't finish a sentence without looking down. She doesn't have any conviction.
Right.
Because she's playing a role. And I don't think she'll ever grow into it. People sometimes start, I don't know, a new job and you'll morph into it. She doesn't have that capability because she's been put in a position where she's supposed to pretend like she knows what the Bible means. And that, oh my gosh, you mess with God, I don't know, the universe, whatever you want to call it, but specifically like the word of God does she think people aren't going to catch on?
Yes.
Did she think you can fake it? You can't.
She doesn't think she's faking it. She thinks, who was it? Somebody, I don't know if it was Candace or somebody brought up the fact that she never used the word Jesus. When you get into it's like if I talk to somebody who's not a lawyer, I can tell immediately by their nomenclature, what they say. They're not using they'll use the wrong word and it'll stick. you'll say, "Uh-oh, this is a layperson."
Right.
When you were entering a group of people and you're saying, "All right, I'm going to enter into people who actually have in their Bibles margin notes, and they have highlighting, and they have devoted their lives to a very, very serious cause. They know not just can name the biggies, but some rather arcane verse for most people. And you walk into this, and you're going to say, "I'm going to say the Lord, and I'm going to say First Corinthians or something," and that's going to do it. She is. It's a concomitant battle of she is overly impressed with her ability and her talent. She's underimpressed with our ability to identify bullshit. Pardon my French. And the two mix together. And I think she's one of these people, and I hope I don't offend anybody, but when I saw the pageant, got it. Okay, that's it. Pageant girl. This is the one who actually says, I am not only smart and talented, but I'm alluring. I'm fetching. And you know, and I know you know this. And if you don't know this, I'm going to teach you. And not only that, this is the part which is the most critical of all of this stuff. Nobody stopped her. Nobody says, "Listen, I'm an acting coach. Here's a tell. You might not want to do this. This is by the way, did you see this right now, honey, about shots at the check this out at the correspondence dinner? Look this up. There might be something breaking. Yeah, I want to check this out. I'm getting my yeah.
I'll text Doug too to have him look into it. See, again, it's so, her whole stick is so bad. Again, it concerns me that it doesn't matter. Like, they don't need it to be convincing. They just need it. Like, they just need certain people in certain positions to get things done. And whether people like her or not doesn't matter. Now, you do learn in the beauty pageant world that you can put on there are certain things that can be taught. There's an infamous story about Marilyn Monroe, where she's walking down the street with a friend and nobody's paying her any mind. Nobody's recognizing her, and then she looks to her friend and says, "Do you want me to become her? Do you want me to be her?" And the friend's like, "What?" And she changed her air. She just, did a little more of a circle 8 with her hips when she walked. And it was like, bam, it just changed the game. And people were like, wow, yeah. So there are things I think she's tried to learn, but it's just bad. I will tell you this though. She has used the name of Jesus, not regularly, but now remember, she's primarily Catholic. So Catholics, a little more, generally speaking, in my experience, Catholic.
Is she really Catholic, or is she Catholic in name only? Was she baptized Catholic? See, a lot of people, look, I'm not going to tell somebody whether you're, a legitimate Catholic. The thing about it, though, is that I want to know a couple of things. First of all, how are her kids? Does she know their names? Where's Charlie's parents? Was he buried? Was he cremated? Whatever happened to him? What about him? I'm getting this thing about shots fired.
Doug just texted and said,
I'm saying breaking reports of possible shots fired inside the White House Correspondents' Dinner. President Trump has been rushed off. Yeah. Guests crouching under tables. I'm seeing this is Nick Sortor. Says, you can see them coming against breaking reports of possible shots fired inside the White House Correspondents' Dinner. President Trump has been rushed off stage, and heavily armed Secret Service agents jumped into action. Pray for the president. So scary. Was watching. So this is breaking as we speak.
Wow.
So we will be keeping, honey. You will keep us up to. Okay. You have to go to X, which is, of course, that is where, yes. Yeah, we have to go to Drudge and whatever. So this is, it appears to be. Here we go, CNN. CNN is reporting. After loud sounds. Oh, after loud sounds. We don't know. We will get. I'm sorry, Chrissy. This is.
No, I'm looking it up too. Doug came in and he's turning on the TV in here. It says Trump attacked at White House. But I don't know.
This is where people have to be very careful, obviously. So I tend to triangulate the news. I take 3 or 4 and I kind of work to the center. But if you go to X, which is important, and a Nick Sortor, SORTOR, and I'm seeing I just put in Trump or White House. See, this is the beauty of, not the beauty, this is terrible, I don't mean to, but this is one of the aspects of being live.
Yeah.
I don't see. We're going to be checking into this.
I'm just looking to see if they, if he grabbed his ear, if any reporters were ushered in front of the table, and if they lowered an American flag in the background. Did they get a good picture this time?
Now, remember something. I will tell you this much. And this is one little bit of, I don't want to say admonition, but, and I know you know this, everybody agrees as far as when the Erica thing and Charlie and that sort of thing. Trump, and to an extent, I think Biden, but Trump holds a very unique position for people. Many people sometimes will say, I don't like maybe what he's done this time, but there are some of us who were called out, vilified, alienated, almost sent to Elba for even the perception that we were less than virulent in attacking him. And, we call it TDS or whatever it was. So even though we may share some ideas as far as Erica, I'm just saying, be very careful, because to others who saw Butler, their life changed. Some looked at it. I know people said, that was odd. It was ridiculous. It was staged. He cut himself. That was, and then JD Vance. And other people said, this was the hand of God. This was a moment.
It's very interesting.
So what I'm saying is, now I'm just saying, always remember, like Johnny Carson said, you don't want to alienate half of the audience. So I'm too late. I am what I am, and that sort of thing. But like I'm just saying, because people, shots fired outside, one in custody. See, this is when our society is controlled. I don't want anybody hurting. There is no president that I've ever hated. There is nobody, because this is the Article 2. This is the president. This is our government. And I get very upset when people, and by the way, and I was 5 years old when Kennedy was hit. So anyway, I just wanted to
yeah. And I don't want him, I didn't want him to fail. I wasn't thrilled that he won, but I didn't want him to fail. And that joke I was referencing earlier about the flag dropping and everything. I think, I never questioned anything. Maybe there was just too much going on in life that I didn't have the energy to question everything. Yeah.
By the way, shooter detained. I don't know if it's a shooter or noisemaker detained or somebody. Listen, I got to tell you this much. You got to understand something. If you and I are friends, so shots were fired? Okay, Fox says shots were fired. Okay, I'm sorry. This cacophonous. No. I have friends of mine that I've known my entire life. And I said, I don't care if you are a fascist, if you are a narco-syndicalist, and I'm not even sure what that is. Friends are friends. I love diversity. I love people with different musical tastes, food tastes, languages, cultures, religions. Diversity, real diversity, doesn't bother me in the least. What I'm telling you is that we do not live in a world today that appreciates that. And what they do is they have their pigeonhole, whatever the hell a pigeonhole is, and they're waiting. Okay, FEKETE. Let's see, what is she? I like her so up liberal. And he said, I didn't say anything. So anyway, enough with that. Yeah. Talk about Candace. How critical, if you were to, let's say you were to jump into the future and they say, Grandma, tell us about this Candace Owens. How important was she? Was that just a flash in the pan? Was this just a fleeting moment? What does she represent? Because I think her presence is immense. It's huge.
I think it's a phenomenal example of someone using their powers for good. You know, when to have the kind of connection that they had, even though, you know, they've tried to say they fell away from each other, that would, it's, I think just in the last couple of months, like maybe 3 months ago, it hit me just to be that connected with somebody and to be labeled as someone who's, you know, manipulating that situation or taking advantage of something so horrifically tragic, right? The amount of centeredness that she's had to have to tolerate such accusations, or even that they were like lovers or she was in love with them. It's like, because people can't comprehend just that kind of genuine love and friendship, right?
There's
you
always
have to sexualize it.
By the way, not to interrupt, somebody just texted me, CNN reporting a shooter in the lobby was shot dead. Now this is what I'm reading.
Wow.
Did you see this? This is from my source. There are people who were there.
Wow.
So we'll see.
Really?
That could be wrong. Remember the great Frank Reynolds when James Brady, remember Reagan's press secretary, was shot, and they announced that he had died, and he said, "Damn it, get this right." It was like live, and he was just furious.
Yes, I remember that. I didn't remember his name, but I remember that.
What they are doing now to Candace, and what Laura Loomer is doing, and what the president by rubber stamping this is just, I got to tell you something. I don't care who you are. If you're wrong, gunshots heard inside the Washington Hilton.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, this is, you know what? Remember this. You will never forget where you were.
I know.
When whatever this is happening.
This is taking me back to like being married and trying to have conversations like with toddlers around, although in this case it's like national breaking news. What was I going to say? I was like so excited. There was something, but go on. It'll come back to me.
Remember when people sometimes say, well, it must not have been that important. And Steve Martin always says, his line is, oh, I remember what I was going to say. Yes, I'm radioactive. Anyway, but I don't want to use the word racist too much, because sometimes it is and sometimes it isn't, and sometimes. But by putting this picture out of Candace, not only is it, I mean, look, you don't have to be a genius to know what that was. I'm thinking, why would you even want to dismiss your point by immediately having it tossed aside as just some racist sniping? I could not. What Loomer said is like, is this Don Imus again? Is this the best you can do? Sometimes racial innuendo, and I'll argue it, sometimes it has to be made because maybe there's a cultural component to this. Maybe it's legitimate. But for me, multiple gunshots, I'm sorry.
No. But
what I'm saying is they're going after her husband and her. And everything about it is like, would you just listen to what the woman is saying?
Now tell me more about this picture, Lionel, because I don't know. I very briefly saw about like Candace on a Time magazine. Who put that out? Who put that out?
There's the one, I don't know. There was one that Loomer referred to the president for. Again, it's out there. It is being circulated. And the thing is, I don't know now what's real and what's not. There's nothing worse, if you're familiar with X, when you read a great article, it says, oh, community notes. Damn it. You know, this wasn't Yugoslavia. Yeah. It was Atlanta 5 years ago. This picture's wrong. Yeah. These people are wrong. So I don't know what to believe. But what I'm doing is, but starting with Laura Loomer, who was, again, and she's not that important. I am both, because it doesn't matter really what she says, but I am shocked that if you want to go after a woman of like Candace, go after her idea, but to put her in these depictions of bandanas and what what's the scariest part, Christine? Maybe you've seen this. Have you ever interpreted something and you're the only one who interpreted that, and it looks like maybe there's something wrong with you? It's like, don't you understand the anti-Catholic reference? What? Oh, you
yeah.
don't? Maybe there isn't one. Maybe this
Yeah.
isn't anti-Semitic. It's just like the word anti-Semitic now. Everything's not anti-Semitic. It's like, stop using that. Things are not
Yeah.
racist. I can say things about, I hate when people, when all of a sudden people were excited that the word retard was back. I'm saying, of all the things that we can be happy about, but the point is, it was a decent word until you read into it. I guess calling somebody blind is going to be, anyway, this hypersensitivity on both sides I hate. But what they're doing now for Candace is they realize they've got nothing. They've got nothing as to the salience of her ideas. They're going after her husband and where they live and their property, and is it in trust and this, and it's like, are you going to dox her next? This is despicable. And meanwhile, she rises to the occasion, bigger, better, badder, and more bold. I'm being alliterative than ever, and I don't understand this. This is where I hate the discourse.
Yeah, she knew, and she entered this willingly. She knew what would come at her. She knew how next level this is. I mean, what could be more significant? There is no more significant issue right now. Our country doesn't have autonomy, right? It seems like someone else is pulling the strings across the board.
By the way, the dinner is over. People are evacuating.
I'm watching. What? I'm seeing that. Yeah.
Now, this is one thing I don't want to do it.
Oh, wow.
But remember, I advise our friends watching, before we go into who it is, why is it, let's wait a little bit, because you're probably right. Because I have found, listen, I cut my teeth on 9/11, and I realized that when you get my wife and I were here on that, we were here. And whenever you get into any group, you will have somebody come over and you'll think, oh, a like-minded fellow traveler, intellectual fellow traveler. And then you realize, no, they're a nut. And so you're now going to be absorbed into their lunatic world. And you're saying, no, wait a minute. No, but I want to say something right now. I can maintain two different ideas about somebody. I can think somebody's great and somebody's crazy. I think somebody's terrific. I can think about Abraham Lincoln. I'm schizophrenic as far as him. He's great. He's awful. He's a racist. He's this. He's incompetent. He's himself. He was insane. He had syphilis. He gave it to his wife. That's why he was depressed. You name it. I live with that, no problem. F. Scott Fitzgerald said a great mind can be able to handle two seemingly inconsistent ideas in their mind. So I can talk good about Trump, deride him simultaneously, no problem. That's what we do. It's not one or the other. Other people can't do that. But going back to, if I could, because I'm between the shooting and this.
Oh yeah, this is great, Lionel. This is great. I mean, I'm blessed to be with you in this moment, because when this happened, I'm trying to imagine if we'd been talking when this happened with Charlie, and you see how quickly the ideas go. It was this, it was this, it was this, and to just
you have to. Their job right now, I try to tell people what you think might happen, what you wish would happen, what you does not mean it happened. But let me ask you this question. Speaking of what happened, do you believe Tyler Robinson killed Charlie Kirk?
No.
I don't either.
No, not even a little bit. So, is that one of your contacts?
No, that's okay. Yes, indeed.
Yeah.
Go ahead, please. Go ahead.
So, no. So, Candace has pointed out how significant the force could very well possibly be behind Charlie being removed. And she was still willing, and she probably knew that going in to a certain extent, and she was willing to go there. You know what? She probably didn't even think about it. You know, this whole thing started with you asking me, like, did I think that someday I'd be doing YouTube or whatever?
Hang on a second. What, honey? I'm sorry.
Okay.
What?
Reporting that Trump is going to return to the dinner.
They're reporting Trump is going to return to the dinner. Okay. They're evacuating people, and my wife says that they're reporting that Trump is returning to the dinner. Again, I don't know.
Okay.
That's insane.
I just found where the good light is. I just have to stay like this the whole time. I finally found.
You look like you're in mid lunge. You know, like you're. It's a very.
I know.
You're.
I do that. It's like this football pose. Like I see that I do that. Part of that is my desk. I can't get the knees under the desk, and so I have to turn. And
people say, "Oh, is this actually no sciatica? I have a crook in my neck, and I have this kind of a strange."
Yeah, it's all twisted. What was I saying again? What was I saying?
Charlie.
Could I imagine doing this?
Yeah.
No, I was just taking care of me and just doing the things that I needed to do. Like I was talking through the like I started talking about the Erica Kirk stuff. It was more that who is using this widow in this situation? Who is caring for her? Why are they like, she needs to grieve. She needs to take care of her kids. Why are they manipulating her into this position? Like the first video is really where I refer to her. It's who loves her, who's taking care of her, because this is not what I said was, this is not to her benefit to be doing this. And I saw her as more of like a victim as being played, but I was talking that through and I said, you know, there's something off. This isn't normal. If you're thinking this is weird, this is weird. And people responded by saying, oh my God, okay, so it's not just me. You see this too. And I think that is one of the most important roles of us experiencing anything, especially if it can be a little on the darker side or something we've overcome, is we share that story because people go, oh, okay, me too. Because then, you know, you got your pack, you've got your tribe, you know, you've got the community that we need.
I'm going to suggest something to you. Tell me if you agree or disagree. You're a woman. My wife is a woman. And women, I think, are better able, and I can go through the whole atavistic reasons for it from evolution, but are better able to detect deception sometimes and take it far. They take more offense to it. It's almost like you're insulted more than men do. Men have, have you ever heard, for example, like a German word and an English word? English word has happy. The German word says happy because this person that I hated just got run over by a bus. You know, it's like always multi-layered. So
yeah,
men say BS. Women say deception, because one of the things that makes you, please don't take this the wrong way, but being a woman or a mother is you have to be able to identify cues and signals to understand what's going on in your world. You are hypersensate. That's one of the reasons why sometimes I said this, again, no offense. I said men are stupid, but women are crazy, because your upset is higher level. Men are kind of like, so what I'm saying is, Erica comes along and you don't go out there, but you realize this is deception, and you're insulted by it, and there's something wrong with it. And also she's betraying the sisterhood. It's like, do you think I'm falling for this nonsense? Because men deceive, politicians deceive, people, they think they're pulling one over on you, and they're not. It doesn't even matter kind of what they're trying to confuse you with. You take greater offense to it. I think more. I
have higher expectations for women. I'm like, okay, we see the men do this. Really? You want to do why? Really?
Who have undercut you more in your life, men or women?
Oh, wow. There's a lot of layers.
Okay,
to
I'm
that.
just saying sometimes you see men are not again, we're kind of you know, we're like puppies. Women are cat. You know what I'm saying? There's difference. We don't sense a sense. We kind of help each other out a little bit more. We don't go up and down. We just it's a different. Erica Kirk had a breakdown when this happened. Everybody's controlling. Erica Kirk had a breakdown when this happened, Christine. Erica Kirk had a get ready, get your roadie fuzz thing on. You're going to be going for this one. Erica,
so somehow, to be clear, Erica Kirk is going to make this about her. Is that what I'm picking up here? That's how good she is. She's going to make this thing about her.
Give her, honey, what? She was rushed. Erica Kirk was rushed from the building with Cash Patel. She broke down. Now listen. Now, with all due respect, wait a minute. Gunshots. I'm going to give her a little bit of leeway here. You know, I'm just saying. See, with anybody else,
I'll be bad cop. I'll be bad cop because I'm like, well, she didn't hear the first one.
Yeah, right.
She wasn't there for the first one.
Yeah,
she hasn't watched the video. She hasn't watched the video.
See, I'm trying. See, Christine,
let me go bad cop. Let me go bad cop. Let me be that. Don't try to rein this in, honey. Just go with it. Let me be the voice of the knee-jerk kind of reaction of people who have just kind of had it and who are usually warm, loving, sometimes gullible people who have just had it. Now,
you go, girl. You go.
I will say this. You just take a seat. I have no doubt, in all sincerity, she's having some kind of break right now because I think she's been in the process of one. She's not well. She's not well.
No.
And I say that with not like, oh, she's freaking crazy. Like as concern for another human being, which is what the first time I heard, you know, Charlie was married, had 2 young children. My thought was, oh my God, how are they going to be? When she was up on stage, it was who's caring for this person? I still have some innate care for her. There are times, even in videos, I'm like, who are you surrounding yourself with who's telling you the truth? Well, why would I say that? Because truth is important and I want it to even be around her. I want her to, you know, so there's just that. I don't wish her ill, but you can tell that she has 2 modes. I actually think there's about 3 distinct personalities we're seeing from her, but that's another story for another day. But it's either the overbearing, like this, you know, if you're a student, raise your hand, you know, like no smile, talking about joy, but like this, there's no greater joy. Like, okay. You know, or she's whatever. And so there's no real integration of a healthy ground. You know, I mean, she's not at a well-balanced place. There's disassociation that we're seeing.
I think so. No,
between words and so it doesn't surprise me that it would be triggering, even though she wasn't there that day under very suspicious circumstances, even though she says she hasn't watched the video. Why would she ever watch the video? She's very fragile, which is another thing, like in having higher expectations. She's not raising the glass ceiling. I mean, she's not exactly breaking through the glass ceiling.
Can I just add this? But there's another part of this too, because we're trying to do like a differential diagnosis. We're sitting around the room and we have this new patient. Her name is, we'll call her EK. And we're looking at this. I'm saying, Dr. FEKETE, what do you think? Well, I think this. And I don't want to pull the old, and by the way, it's always incorrectly done. It's not Occam's razor. It's not the simplest explanation, but there's also something. You have somebody who's not very bright, who for whatever has been told by her mommy, Laurie Franz, that she is special.
Yes.
Who was it? It was like Judy Garland's mother said, sparkle. Yes. You know, that you're special.
Excellent.
You're anointed. Point. So whatever you do, whether you want to do, if you want to do this, the sizzle reel for this thing, whatever, don't worry about being consistent, dating, not gay, dating, drinking, not drinking, being, by the way, and I'm no expert in pageants, being recruited, walking down the street like whoever it was, Olivia de Havilland or somebody at the Schwab's, she was noticed, she was discovered, and they said, Arizona needs you. Would you please be our Miss? What are you going? Okay. Meanwhile, she's run for pageants or been in other pageants. So she's not very bright. She forgets her story. She would be a terrible undercover cop because she would have forgotten her story of where she's from. She's not very bright. And she thinks, though, that her charm, this elegance, this pulchritudinous, whatever you want to call it, is so fetching. She's like a siren. Men, women, it doesn't matter. She just forgets. And there's nobody.
Such an excellent point about her mom. Because they are incredibly close. Remember, Candace said the only real emotion she saw in Erica in that meeting they had in December was when she was talking about Lori being sick, and that she saw genuine concern, grief, tears in that time. So she's capable,
right?
So she's capable. But that is such an excellent point. What do you think about the fact she is still using a picture from 2018 on all of her promo stuff? Like all the big picture in the background, Erica Kirk,
right.
CEO,
right.
The title she said she doesn't care about, that's always on the big screen now when it's a picture from 2018.
Right.
I mean, because there's a lot of ways to break that down. Can nobody tell her? To me, it tells her well, she's not approachable. She's not, but it's also that's delusional. Does she think that's what she looks like?
It's always
what?
There's always been the guy who ran for office who has, that standard picture, and the picture became a trademark and became almost and then you're saying, now it becomes an anachronism. Now we've gone too far. That I don't know. I think I always err on the side that women, especially in her particular situation, cannot get old, cannot gain weight, cannot become whatever, because she's insinuated herself into this world, and she had. Okay, fine. That being said, there's the people that I think are the most. She's a very, very not a very complicated person. The one who's complicated is Laura Loomer. Now, there's something which is very interesting. We used to have this. I've mentioned this before. As a former prosecutor and also kind of been in the criminal justice system and dealing with some bad people. And also one time, I'll never forget, when I was just out of college, I worked for a U.S. senator. And we had the Secret Service, tell us how to read threatening notes and what to. And they said, understand the mentality of this. And they said, if you ever get a letter where they write in the margins in different colored ink, if they print, if they underline, call us immediately. So here is now you have, despite your rather vicissitudinous life, I think most of us have, I think deep down inside, anytime you have gone, maybe acted out of the ordinary, it was a rarity. It's not the usual thing. It's not over and over and over and over. You do have breaks. You have an executive center of your brain that says, no, I'm not going to say that. You don't have some kind of emotional or social Tourette's. You don't break into coprolalia now. You're very good at this. When you get mad at somebody, you'll kind of stop because you're just... No.
I did drive my car into the house.
Listen,
I did drive my car into the house. But even then it made sense to me because I designed the door and I was like, the next bitch isn't going to walk through that door. There was a cognitive awareness.
You know what?
So
if it's funny, like if somebody says, you live a good life, drive one car through one door, and all of a sudden, everybody's given, this is your free reign. I am not going to go into details because you don't want to go into heaven and see St. Peter says, Christine FEKETE, this is your life. Ralph Edwards says, oh no, don't. Do you remember this? College. It was a Tuesday night. It was a mixer. Remember this one? Oh my God. All right, we don't want to go through that. So let he who has not driven a car cast the first skid mark. But
And we know you've wanted to, because the Bible says even if you've thought about adultery, you've
that's
committed
right.
it. So
Well,
you
look
have thought about doing that.
Jimmy Carter said that in the Playboy interview. Jimmy Carter actually was stupid enough to say that. But anyway, so here's Laura Loomer. Laura Loomer right now has nothing. She's a caged rat. And this is a person who is, did you see the video? And and again, I always say, assuming, allegedly, putatively, she was at a bar or something. There was a young man, and she was, okay, this is, compare that.
Yes.
The second one I ever heard was the Harvey Weinstein video with some actress where he says, come on, please, just let me look at it. It was just like, oh my God, please. He was begging her, don't leave.
Wow.
It was something like, again, the brakes, no brakes, no executive center of the brain. Feeling was not interrupted by a circuit breaker. We don't even get to that. We don't, not because we're better people, but for example, if she wrote a book, The Art of Seduction by Laura Loomer, with a sledgehammer and a gun to your head, her idea of foreplay is, brace yourself, Bridget, turn your head, or, but I realize, oh my God. So then we have somebody, she has nothing. She's left everything. Trump is going to give her the heave ho before you realize it. Because once he's done with you, he's done. You're finished. Kash Patel, don't buy the green bananas. You're done. You're finished.
I knew that once that video, I'm sorry, once that video came out of Patel dancing in the hotel room or whatever, I knew that Trump, more than anything, that would give Trump the icks, and he'd be like, I'm done. I just had to get that in there. But
no. And I agree with you. And it might be because of his brother. It might be the thing is, there's something in my opinion, my psychoanalysis. There's one thing that Trump does not abide, and that is uncool. If you are, put it this way, if you are cool or if you appear to be hot, you could be Alina Habba, who is functionally incompetent to be the U.S. attorney for whatever. The U.S. attorney for Virginia, Kristi Noem. I mean, most of us would say, are you kidding? Pete Hegseth, and I've never seen Pete Hegseth and Bobby Kennedy Jr. That's another one, which I could go on and on about that, doing pull-ups and push-ups, grown men doing this. George Patton couldn't do a push-up to save his life. But the point is, when Trump says, you're not cool anymore, you're embarrassing, forget what you say. When he said Candace and Tucker, low IQ, Tucker, Candace, you can call him a lot of things. You can call him a lot of things. It's not that. But when he says you're upset because you're not on TV, it's like, oh my God, okay. That notwithstanding, when she realizes, when Laura says, I'm done, and she's self-lumered herself, now she says, I'm in a corner. I'm going to go out like top of the world, Ma. I'm taking everybody with me. And Candace, I'm going. And somebody, and we'll just leave it at that, something is feeding her with documents and information that nobody would be able to. And they're going to give Candace and her husband, I think, or attempt to give him this is your life. And Candace's attitude is, that's not true.
Yes, which is amazing, which is why in comedy, that's one of the reasons I delved into it, because I wasn't going to let shame control me. If anybody was going to tell my story, it was going to be me.
Good, because I
was
own it.
Going to stand up on a stage. It took 5 years before I went back to Franklin, Tennessee, rented out the Franklin Theater, and told my story up there. And they knew it. They'd been following it anyway. But I was standing on a stage that was halfway between a house where I raised my children and was married for 18 years, and a house where I discovered mixing Xanax and Ambien. I mean, mixing Xanax and vodka causes blackouts, but you own your story, because then it's like, yeah. So then when you're walking down the street, this is just, I've used this analogy before, and some person yells out, you're a pink elephant. And you're like, all right, Have a good one. And you keep, because you know you're not a pink elephant, right? And somewhere my analogies jumped, but you just, you know who you are and who you aren't,
Well,
and you're not
also,
trying to pretend like you're a turkey if you're an elephant.
well, what you're
In my
doing
head,
is,
that makes sense.
well, what you're doing is you're owning the story. You're saying, no, it's
Yes.
mine now. So I just took the
Yes.
sting away from you. You know how
Yes.
you can't tickle yourself? Well, nobody can hurt with the stories. Like I already told you that. Remember when Pee Wee Herman, this is the only guy in Sarasota, Florida. This guy, he's in an adult bookstore and
Yeah.
decides to pleasure himself or whatever it was at an adult bookstore. Somebody, great line was, it's not like he was watching on Golden Pond, you know, it was in an adult bookstore. So anyway, so Pee Wee Herman came out, it was some MTV, and they wanted to see what he was going to say. So he walked out and he does, I can't do the voice. He goes, well, heard any good jokes lately? And they stood up and they said, absolved. He said, I own it. What are you going to tell me? And he just diffused. He took away that power from them because he's going to Richard Pryor when he went on and did his, where wore the red live on after the setting himself on fire and shooting the gun. He owned it. He told it so funny. So it's a great technique. You take it, you own it, you take it back from people. But Laura,
well, and Hugh Grant, when he hooked up with a prostitute, showed up on the Tonight Show.
Remember her luscious divine? He goes, what were you thinking?
Yes. And Christians, like, they love a great redemption story. So for Erica to not pretend like she's just been prepared for this role, to not do if you want a Charlie, you need to be a woman who will attract a Charlie, but to be like, God, I had this stuff in my background, and you know, you own it, because who doesn't love, Christians or not, who doesn't love a good redemption story? Not that I would label anything she was doing or not doing as evil or whatever. I'm talking about in terms of dating or drinking or sexual relationships or whatever. I'm just, you know, but you own it because it's part of your story. And do you not believe that isn't part of the message that God loves you, Jesus accepts you, and you know, he died over 2,000 years ago, so he knew these.
Do you know what
were going to be sins in your life anyway? So embrace it.
If we could go back in time and Erica said, listen, Christine, what should I do? I would have told her, and you see what you think about this. I would say, what you're going to do is you're going to go out and you're going to meet with these young people. You're not going to do it, Charlie. You're not Charlie. You're not going to talk about yourself. You're going to go to people and you're going to say, are you okay? How can I help you? How can we keep the message going? And never talk about yourself. They will love you. You will come across as selfless, self-effacing, giving. You will go to schools. Thank you. Stand behind a picture of Charlie. Let's talk about this. I want to go. We need your help. I need you. Remember,
you're talking about after Charlie's death. Like, what would I have told her?
Had done this. Candace had the best story one time. She said, look at the story about how Kobe Bryant's wife came out and handled this. She like one time she says, I lost my husband, lost my daughter. And she didn't say, don't forget Laker tickets. That's Lakers.com. She didn't do that. She just was very quiet, and it was the most elegant thing. Jackie Kennedy did this. Jackie Kennedy basically wanted to move away. Coretta Scott King, Yoko Ono, even everybody, at least just, they didn't have to push this. But all she had to do is, if she didn't mean a word of it, but just say, are you okay? I'm worried about you young people. This is the first time, you know, because remember this, I don't know about you, just as a side note, my wife and I were at a party on Long Island, and there were some very interesting people there. That's all I'm going to tell you. And one guy who you would think would be kind of a tough guy said, it broke my heart. I said, what? Charlie. And I said, who's I didn't put it together. I said, you listen? He said, I listen every day. And my kids listen. And these people that I said, wait a minute, this man's talking about not having sex, not, you know, being celibate, giving your life to the Lord, being abstemious, women staying home and foregoing a career. Hello. He had fans I never knew about. They loved him. That's what she should have tapped into. That. And they would have loved her.
Yeah, from a PR perspective, yeah, Candace pointed this out too. How it was this golden opportunity to like woo the world. Nobody wished them ill. Nobody
No,
wished them ill. It was a horrible situation. All right, go do like nobody wished them
right.
ill. And for it to become an issue that has united the left and the right on scale, like with Epstein stuff. I'm not saying that issues are like
No,
whatever, but for it to be something that unites us is it, you could not have done it wrong. Like it will be studied in PR
right.
firms and classes, and everything they did was wrong. But here's the good thing. It was authentic.
Yes.
I never want to go back to what somebody said recently. God, I just want to go back to when the biggest problem was the color of Obama's suit. I
Yeah.
don't. I don't. It
Yeah.
hurts like hell, but we got to reset the bone.
Now let me ask you this one. Another thing too is this is a group again. This is I love. I don't know. I like optics. I like stagecraft. I like the,
Mhm.
well, anyway. I like different the way productions are made. In fact, sometimes when Trump would do some of his speeches, I'd say, "Who are these white people? Let's get a diversity." I don't want to get the United Nations, but it's always good. Whoever said when they did a casting call for the TPUSA board, this is like this Aryan. It's almost like remember Boys from Brazil. Remember that kid that they were trying to clone? It was the weirdest. Who are these people? And then one weirder, Ben Shapiro. What's Ben Shapiro doing at TPUSA? Is anybody in charge of this? And then there was this kid. What's that kid's name? Brolin. What's his name? I can't remember his name. Who is that? Brillin Hollyhan. Have you seen this kid? Who you know I'm talking about? I'm thinking this has got to stop. This looks like a weird. It's like the Country Club meets Bohemian Grove meets Skull and Bones or something. It's this elitist looking, non-normal. Charlie was, listen, can we talk like Joan Rivers would say? I don't think Charlie was very sophisticated. I don't think he had a lot of girlfriends. I think when
He hadn't. He was living with his parents.
I think Erica rocked his clock. I think she showed him a couple of things he's never heard of before.
Yeah,
and
no question.
And he said, wow, because she knew she got her hooks into him.
Mm-hmm.
And he, for the first time, he says, hey, So, and he was basically a very smart, brilliant young man. But when when he stood there, he was kind of a goofy, kind of a small town guy. And I don't say this out of disrespect. He's innocent. He was authentic. He was real. He wasn't,
he was naive. Naive. When it came to,
yeah. So this is a guy who didn't know any of this stuff. And when he said a couple of things, when he said, I'm going to Doge this, where's this money going? Does anybody realize all the planes, all of the Gulf Streams to go to 7-Eleven, they take a Gulf Stream? And what about this? Recently, when you think somebody would have said, now listen, Erica, you can't make any mistakes. And if she said, look, I'm not going to go to this Georgia thing because if I get a shitty turnout, you're going to go out there. The vice president, he just came back from Islamabad. This guy has more Secret Service. You've never been safer. That doesn't matter. Her ego says, you don't understand. The sound of the cannon that goes off when I'm repelled to the death, it'll resonate because of all the empty chairs. This is when you realize she just doesn't get it. She just...
No, and I also think she has a history of breaks. Of psychotic breaks. We've talked about that year that she went off the grid in 2008, that she said in an interview that the only person she saw was a pastor's wife, and they would go to church, and she said she would pour herself into me. And that, like, I was so disappointed. I thought, here was an opportunity. What, were you depressed? Were you depressed? Did you have a breakdown? Because people can relate to that. So what's the story here. She'll use a lot of words and say nothing.
Yes.
Nothing at all. So you went off the grid for a year. Well, when does that happen? It happened when she was pregnant. So was there a break? Was she not ready to get pregnant? Was something triggered? So there are mental health questions that are valid for if she's going to take this position. So it's not about being mean or critical or just or nasty. It's concern when she says they're going after the kids of the country. And I've spent a quarter of my life working with high school kids myself. When I see them weaponize the gospel and that whole, manipulate the scripture. I told you before we got on that I was taking notes and you were like, notes. And then I had just watched Frank Turek and a few minutes of Erica Kirk at this pastor's thing. Would you indulge me?
Please.
In just a moment?
And by the way, just for the record, I didn't say no. I
You
just
were
said,
like, really? Really? Is that what? I went back to my third grade teacher going like, you don't know how to solve that math problem.
well, I didn't say it like that, but
no, I got you. So she literally said in my notes, like, okay, something I give Trump grace for too is using the Sharpie.
Yeah.
Like, because I can't see, but also, okay, she is literally telling the pastors that they owe it to Charlie because he laid down his life for the gospel, like that he died for the gospel. And so
that's not why he died.
So she said, what is spoken by you on Sunday, shapes what the culture, is doing on Monday. And basically, if they did that, there would be no stopping God. God needs us. Like I've said this before, like how I don't want a God that's needy, that's needy. But then she said, if pastors stood unapologetically in their calling, which she was saying was to be political to their agenda, not the gospel, not being true to the gospel of Jesus Christ, but to their calling, and all the inferences were that it's whatever their message is, the gospel according to Turning Point. She said, my soul burns bright for that sentiment. It's like she only knows so many 4-syllable words.
And she also knows this kind of this recombinant of, but see, the thing is that a couple of things. First, nobody is smart enough, I don't think, to tell her, listen, Erica, you might take offense to this, but we've got an acting coach for you. And it's not really, honey, it's not an acting coach. It's a presentation coach because, we all need, and I want to just show some things with you because, you got some habits. And first of all, there are people who can read for notes. I know people who have read, who are so well, they can read, whether it's a prompter or a napkin or a matchbook cover. And it's just flawless. There are other people who read like it's a hostage video. Please, they're serious. They don't mean that's her style. And her idea is looking up a pained look, kind of like the pained Valsalva maneuver, like the hockey puck. Like I'm trying to pass something. I'm a bit dyspeptic. That's my sincere look. Where I read it and I stop and I look up and I look about, mid-level. And I kind of, I wince, I squint, and that sincerity, it's the same tell. It's like you went to acting school and you couldn't afford all the classes and you quit after the wince. That connotes and conveys this. And I'm sorry, it's really bad. She dropped the whispering thing. She did. Somebody was like, you got to drop that. She did that. Has she ever said anything where she was remember when she was with Barry Weiss that morning she did, this is after the event. Most of the time people would say, I am shell shocked. My kids are at home crying And I'm here getting hair and makeup at Fox News on 6th Avenue. I don't have time for this. But she was there with Harris Faulkner and Barry Weiss and everybody else. And it was the same story over and over again. And I can't believe how people just fell into it. How Fox, how they didn't, even they don't have any emotional breaks. They don't have any circuit breakers. They say, I mean, this is bullshit. Don't you understand what this is? She's not real. We look phony by, let's have her work on the shtick, come back when your routine's down. If you can do a tight 5, maybe we'll do it again. Nobody seems to care about this. They think that for some reason it's just not what she says, but the fact that this is Charlie's wife. What more do you need? You will love her. We'll get the numbers. And nobody's really paying attention anyway. Oh, are they making a mistake?
Yeah. Well, for any network, it's business. I mean, it's business. I mean, didn't Fox have a settlement they needed to pay because they knew they were promoting something, but it was good business at the time. So the culture clearly has an interest in her.
Do you see that for the most part a while back? And again, I'm not trying to guess politics because I hate that, but I would venture to say maybe there might have been a time when people like Tucker, you might not have been a big fan, or Candace in her various iterations of her life and the development of her own philosophy, you might not have been as much of a fan.
Who me?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely. No, couldn't stand him. Couldn't stand him.
Right. So this left and right stuff was kind of there. Something though cut through. And I'm still trying to define, is it truth? Is it the fact that we connect so strongly, or you connect on this one area here, that all of those other differences really are de minimis in comparison? They don't really matter. That they didn't matter in the first place. That this core, this simpatico that we feel is so strong, nothing can get in the way. How would you describe it?
Yeah, I think there are universal truths. Like, we all know if we jump from a building, we're going to hit the ground. Now, we might have different ways to get to the top of the building, but gravity is gravity. We all know that children should not be treated the way that, and you don't talk about, nothing else matters in that moment. Like, you just go grab the kid out of the situation. You're not like, well, who'd you vote for? Right. You're just like, let's partner together and get this kid.
Well, it's funny you say that, because right now, my wife, who is she devotes herself to Lynn's Warriors, and that's all. This morning she was at a victim symposium here on the West Side, and we live this day to day. And what's the scariest thing? I just have to say this. What she's bringing up, talking about kids. When we were kids, we never had artificial intelligence. We never had bots. We never had this targeted predation like this at levels, at psychological levels and psychic levels you can't even describe. We worried about abduction. We worried about a guy in a van. At least I did. We were told. We worried about being kidnapped. Unless you're Nancy Guthrie, because they take you and you forget about her. But there are kids who never leave home, but their minds are hijacked. Their souls are hijacked. Imagine you're in your home and your kid is playing with a bot and you think nothing of it. And that bot is saying, hey, Christine, where do you keep the matches? Where are the knives? If you did any self-harm, I'll help you write the note. I mean, this is the world we live in right now. So I see, and we see, such darkness, and to call it evil doesn't even do it credit. So out of this muck, mire, funk, this fetid cesspool of dreck, there's these people who say, I want to speak about the truth. And they're spiritual. And whether you agree with their spirituality or not, it's a fact that they care about something other than themselves. That's why Tucker, I think, and Candace, sky's the limit for these two. This is going to be a new this is a revolution we're seeing. This is a political revolution. There are people who are going to come to the fore who said, I may not have been involved before. I'm not really sure what I'm involved in, but I'm with them. I like what they're selling. I like their spirit. I like their sincerity. And if you tell me to believe something, I might listen to you. No politician on their best day could warrant that kind of connection. This is big.
Yeah, I think if we're being real and transparent, in the journey. We don't pretend to know the answers to everything. I don't know about you, but I'm finding the more I know, the more I realize I don't know.
Oh,
You know,
absolutely.
I used to cling to things being black and white, especially in an area of faith. In the land of my Christendom, it was, tell me what the rules are. Tell me what the rules are, because I want to know I'm okay. I want to know if I'm doing this, that I'm good, or if I'm not doing this, I'm good, or better, or whatever. Just tell me what the rules are. And you start to learn as life goes on that there's a lot of gray, that things aren't so
Well,
black and
it's
white.
funny you say that. I like gray. And I one time tried to make America gray again. When you don't live in this apodictic world where everything is just Manichaean, good and evil, when you're much better. For example, the Pope, say what you want about, I've studied the papacy a long time, and they have a unique, each of them has their own particular flavor. Leo, the new dude, actually said what every Pope since St. Peter has said regarding war. They don't like it. You can bet your bottom dollar. They don't say war. Yeah. John Paul II, Wotiwa, a little different because he's killed communists probably in his youth, but it's a different story. When Trump and when Sean Hannity said, I'm going to teach you about Christ, this is the Pope who has spent his entire life studying the most arcane ministry. I'm thinking, this is nuts. This is crazy. God is not political. God, or interpreting the word of God, God doesn't like capital punishment, and God doesn't like abortion. Believe it or not. Now, that may shock people, but God's not a liberal. This left-right paradigm doesn't make any sense anymore. This is where I'm saying these people are losing it. People are going to church. People are digging the cat. Charlie said, embrace the rules. I'm not an adherent. I'm kind of I'm a retired Catholic, but I love the fact that people see this. And what's Trump and these other people doing? They're slamming him. It's like, what are you doing? If for no other reason, politically, this is stupid. People are craving this. The Pope is saying kind of what they want to hear. Sit this one out.
Yeah, there's a point, where we stay in our lanes, so to speak. And, in theory, I heard that's a good thing to do. But with Erica Kirk, it's kind of like she showed up on my highway, not just my lane, but my highway.
She was coming head on collision.
Yeah, but it's every bit of my life experience, and there are just these flags, like she will say things like that are performative. Like I'm going through the house and I put Bibles everywhere so I can get a little Bible snack, if you will. Okay, now here's what I know to be true, that I haven't cracked the Bible in a few years. But in this last year and a half, I have been inundated with scripture. Boom, 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 like to the point where it's like, what is going on? Because the word of God doesn't return void. If you put it there when it's needed, even though you don't know when you need it, it's boom, it shows up. So here's somebody that claims like she reads the Bible in app 365, you read part of the Bible every day of the year. Yeah. So you don't,
Did you see when she was talking about how parents have to sometimes eat cereal, or they?
Yes, that's what moms do at 10 o'clock at night.
Did you see her home? Have you seen this colossus that she lives in? It was like a museum.
Well, they're in a condo now. And that's what I want to know. I want and I keep meaning I want to reach out to Candace about this specifically. Why were they in a condo? They had a home mansion they bought for 4 point something, sold it for 5 point something, but they were there only not even 2 years. Why did they sell it? How come no one's talking about this? I've looked into it. I can't find anything.
What do you suspect? What does this sound like or smell like to you?
Well, it sounds like marital problems. I don't think it's money problems. We know it's not money problems. Charlie was excellent with money. But you tend to downsize when you.
Did you hear?
That's my knee-jerk reaction.
There are people. I don't know, but in your world, we have, of course, the news, that sort of thing. We also have, by virtue of being kind of in the biz, so to speak, being in New York, knowing a lot of people, there's kind of like there's the gossip side. Then there are the blinds. There's this. I'm sure you've known these people in Hollywood that tell you exactly what's going on. They know it. They've known it. Everybody knows it. Who's gay? Who's not? Who's
Oh,
this?
yeah.
They know
Yeah.
it, and it's like, don't even bother.
Mhm.
But I had heard, and I can't substantiate this, but Charlie was on his way to talk to a lawyer. That he was really coming. He was going through his own. He was feeling used. He was basically being asked to advocate wars and bellicose behavior, which he thought was contrary to his faith. He had a wife that was acting really weird. He felt like he was being basically bled dry by a bunch of these pirates. A lot of people there that he really couldn't trust. He wanted to do a Doge type analysis. There was a lot going on. And that's why in the list of suspects, and they're just suspects, nobody knows, it could be a combination of all. The people who would have immediately were focused on perhaps losing it were a lot of people in TPUSA, without naming anybody, nobody in particular, but who would have suffered greatly had Charlie lowered the boom. Now, by removing him, how that helps, I don't know. Cui bono, cui prodest, who benefits, who knows? But there was a lot going on. And I feel for this. It's like I almost felt like, did he have a friend? I know he has his Christian faith, but did he have like a big brother or somebody to say, Charlie, tell me what's going on?
He had Candace. He had Candace. The most authentic, real, and it just I get choked up thinking about that, because yeah, it's a lonely place to be, and he clearly woke up. There the being whipped.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean, there's a point where you kind of, that wears off, and he had an awakening. Well, first of all, let me back up. I mean, for those who come from this biblical background, there are so many examples of women who took down men, who took down kings, who took down,
really,
yeah. I mean, one of them, she was just taking a bath, and David was like, hey, I want, and I don't know that, she had a lot of choice in the matter, and then he kills her husband, so this he was clearly having a wake up moment.
Yes.
Where he was like, I am done. And the Megyn Kelly, if your audience, that changed everything for me. Like, I wept. I had been,
what was it? I'm not sure what I
almost a year.
Tell us about that.
Charlie Kirk went on Megyn Kelly's podcast on August 6, 2025. August 6. It was the day after he had this meeting where they're like, BB's on the phone, and, the alleged $150 million. And he's like, no. So what you see from Charlie on the August 6th podcast with Megyn, and he said that, like they didn't have an agenda meeting. I think Megyn did. I think she knew where he was the day before. And so she kind of led into, kind of opened the can, and the exasperation, the heartbreak, he is tormented. I didn't realize that, he's on some spectrum or something, like his tics were going. The man was fried. So when I see Erica Kirk on an interview on Fox, not Fox and Friends, another one where she's like, one where she's like, stop, because you're talking about my team and they are stressed out. And I'm like, bitch, your husband was so stressed. He's texting people saying they're going to kill me. And she didn't know about that, by the way. She didn't know about that. And why didn't he tell her? Why didn't he tell her?
You bring up something. Somebody one time, let's face it, we think you can deep dive all you want, but you don't really know what's going on. I'm not saying you don't, but everybody, sometimes there are some folks who they're very good at finding, weapons sales, and they're very good at this, and they think they can deep dive and plumb the depths of everything. Well, not really. somebody one time suggested that an EEG was like reading one, brainwaves, was like standing outside of a stadium and trying to predict the score of the game by the crowd roar. So that's what we are. We're standing outside and we're getting a little bit of this, a little bit of that. We're blending it with our own experience. Those of us who are older, who have seen things, we have more, not wisdom, but judgment. We've seen, I think, oh, yeah, this sounds familiar. I think that there was that Candace, and I'm just saying, I do not believe that this was, people always intimated that this was intimate, that it was a sexual thing. I don't believe that's it at all. I don't think it was romantic. I think they were as close as you could possibly be. And I think that Candace is by her very nature, very, very strong. And she does not like to show her emotion. She does not. But she is very deep. And there's, still waters run deep. She's very emotional. She starts talking about her grandfather. She hates being betrayed. And she has been betrayed by everybody. I mean, a lot of people do, women certainly do, and she does too. So anyway, so she probably knows betrayal more than anybody else. And I'll bet you anything, she probably said, Charlie, you've been in a great trajectory up to now. They took you, and a lot of this is you, obviously, but they're parasites, these people, including your wife. And most of the time, most husbands say, no, wait. First of all, it's a mother of my children. Plus, they don't want to admit that their wife is this parasitic, cyborg.
Psychopath.
Yeah, because it makes them kind of feel stupid, like I should have known this. And also, the other part is you're trying to convince yourself that everything's okay. But I think he knew. Look, we knew exactly what she was about the first time we saw her.
Yeah. And what we know for a fact is that Erica, either coming or going to Jerusalem, was in an airport with her mom, saw Charlie. The mom was like, go.
Yeah.
Erica said, I kind of recognize him. What in her persona do we think would keep her from going? The only factor that she doesn't mention in that story is that Candace was with him. Candace was with him. We also, I'm not going to, let's just take that for fact. We also know that when Erica and her boyfriend, JD, the baseball player, when they were filming in 2015 their audition tape to be on The Amazing Race, they talk about their first date and their dating relationship, and they hit the ground running, and they'd been together every day for 5 days since. And she said, we had to find another place to hang out because the couple that he lived with, the wife, was territorial of her nest. The wife didn't want Erica. The wife didn't want Erica around.
So even she picked up on
she's not a woman's woman. She's not a woman's woman. You asked her earlier about, I'm sorry, you asked me earlier about her hands in JD's hair. I posted on this. There is, you can look up her engagement photo. You can look up her engagement photo with Charlie. Her hands are the exact same way. You can't tell the difference. It is the same embrace. Now, Erica is textbook narcissist. So she's being interviewed with Megyn Kelly in November of 2025. And Megyn brings up, like, she's going to, the hug. Everybody's freaking Megyn Kelly. Boy, she's shrewd. She's like the girl in high school that'll ask you, do you think you're pretty? And then you feel like you have to, and then she goes around saying, well, she said she's pretty, So Megyn asked her the hug, that everybody's making a big deal out of this hug. Can you believe it? And Erica, her reaction was, oh my God, people criticizing a hug, they must really need a hug themselves. If you need a hug that desperately. And I was like, a couple of things. One, CEOs need to be able to hear people, acknowledge them.
Yeah.
And, and it was a lack of self-awareness, kind of on par with, I'm just going to keep using my real estate picture from 2018 on the thing. It's like, we see you, like I think she's a beautiful woman, she doesn't need her picture from 2018. We have filters. We have, we can tweak things, but a picture from 2018. There were things she said in the, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No. Sometimes people will look at something and go, that's when I was happy, because that picture represents not just the picture, but a different time. When you are, let's face it, if you are everybody from like Princess Di to a lot of it, we used to have do you ever hear about the Swans of New York, the old days, Babe Paley, and how they would be the debutante girls, and they would be raised to go out and find men. They were big in New York, huge. And it was far more predatory. And they were groomed. Pamela Harriman and Jackie Kennedy, Lee Radziwill. That's a story for the ages.
Yeah.
But these were predators, and their job was, and Babe Paley, who found Bill Paley, she was part of the Cushing sisters, and they were told, you're going to go out and you're going to get them, and you're trained. They go to finishing schools. They go to debutante. Mm-hmm. This is like SEAL Team 6. I'm not kidding you. This is not a joke. And they have to be able to deliver the goods, know how to dress, do the thing, and find that man. Well, Lori, as is not rare, sometimes a mother will live vicariously and want the daughter to pick up where she left off. John Benet Ramsey was not in the pageants. Patsy Ramsey was in the pageants. That was the mother. And so you could tell who was running that show. So this girl, when they were at the Ben Gurion Airport, wherever they were, and all of a sudden they said, go. I could see DEFCON 4. They probably had code words, Alpha, Tango, Niner, got it, go, move in. And bat. And you can see when you mentioned the word performative, the batting of the eyes probably worked in the past. And Charlie was a schmuck, and he didn't see it. People don't want to think that they're being played. And I'll bet you anything, Candace, being Candace, took one look at this and said, you've got to be kidding me. Don't you know? And don't be surprised if there was a little bit of friction. If he says, look, I'm happy for the first time. And Candace probably said, look, I'm your friend. But if you're falling for this nonsense, I'm just fantasizing. I can't imagine Candace will sit back and say, go ahead, because he
would know. He wouldn't even have to ask her. He would know.
Right.
Because, she would just be like, really? Yeah. Like she wouldn't even have to say anything.
And
go ahead. But Tracy Martin, Erica's PR, who does her no favors at all. It's like, just stop, like, not helping. Like, see, if I were just a vengeful, I'd be like, yeah, keep coming out, right? But my innate response is like, just stop, just stop. So, she would say, yeah, she wasn't invited to the wedding. Like that, you could tell, they weren't close anymore. She wasn't invited to the wedding. Well, no groom is going to really, this is projecting, but it would take a rare partner to like take on the other if they really just don't want somebody there.
Yeah. And like, you don't want to make waves, and you don't want to cause problems. But the thing is also, would you have loved to have heard when they had their Potsdam or their summit, to sit down with Candace and with Erica when they met famously? We didn't hear much about it. What was that? What was really said when they closed the door? Because I'll bet you Erica was terrified. And if she actually did this alone, I guess she had to. Because Candace would be.
No, she had at least one other person with her, and Candace had her cousin or she had somebody with her.
What do you think is wise? What was the purpose of that?
Candace said she had a short list of questions. And
how about deals though?
The airplanes. What?
How about deals like, look, we're going to do this. I don't say this, you don't say this. I thought it was more of a chance of making like a deal. This is the truce. This is Appomattox. These are the lines.
I think that's what Turning Point wanted. I don't know if you noted the timeline, but they did not respond to anything until Candace told insinuated, I don't remember the exact wording, that are these people you want to send your money to? So when it became about money,
Oh yeah.
when it became about money, they're like, yeah, we'll meet. And so the hope undoubtedly was, from Turning Point standpoint, was that this will appease her. The biggest defense that they have, that they're not tied to anything nefarious, that this was really a lone gunman, whatever, it's just how freaking stupid they are.
Yeah.
It's just how stupid. I would think that people tied to foreign intelligence or whatever would be like, would know what degrees to put on their LinkedIn, and to, if it's on LinkedIn as a summa cum laude, you don't, in an interview when you're auditioning for The Amazing Race, call yourself a magna cum laude,
Right.
or vice versa. The mistakes are just so stupid. You would think they would be better trained speakers. You would think, just now, I hate this, like this. I don't do this typically. Like,
Say it.
Who the hell dresses this woman? Who dresses this woman? So here's the deal. So that puts me down the path. There are all these different options, right? That she didn't come from money, that her mother told her, you need to provide for yourself. And that's why she got into this boss babe mindset. That there are just there's so many different threads.
Okay, stop for a second. I noticed, and my wife noticed too, and I think she mentioned it, that she seemed to be at some particular point not dressing down, but wearing more, I don't know, sneakers, trying this look. The problem is, as you know, with stagecraft, if you're going to change, do it subtly. Don't all of a sudden go from, Dior to Target. It doesn't. They'll see through it. Mix into it. First of all, none of these people are that smart. They were tangentially involved in the intel world. She did some world. I don't know what she did. She did this. I don't know what the word is. She did this industrial for EMPs,
right?
Electromagnetic pulses. Now, she was like, remember Vanna White, or she's turning the car. Carol Merrill for Let's Make a Deal. She's just it's like somebody that like at a car show at the Javits Center. It was like this, and here we are, EMPs. So they said, listen, do it, put it in your thing. How about working for Corcoran? Corcoran, the biggest real estate company here in New York. Just say you did. I don't know if you sold out. I talked to somebody, just put that in. You're going to be an entrepreneur. You're going to have these things. And then
entrepreneur, another four-syllable word that she beats into the ground.
And then we get into some other, and this is before. See, when you don't get caught, you get sloppy. You figure, well, I never really had a problem with this before. Today, if you say this, when you say orphanage, ding, 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 orphanage, Oprah, Sean Penn, ding, 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 orphanage, Romania, ding, 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 all of our signals are going. Now, at the time, they thought nothing of it. Yeah. And you're not allowed back, and they close them and say, remember, if you're going to traffic orphanages and modeling agencies and beauty contests, give me a bunch of third world or Eastern European poor people, bring them over, promise them the world, or let me have access to kids, many of whom don't have birth certificates, where I can just all of a sudden, they're absenteed, they're disappeared, just like we had on border crossings, unaccompanied minors. Now we know this. At the time, it's not that we weren't that hip, but the country wasn't part of their patellar vernacular. They didn't just react to it like this Pavlovian, So I don't think she is evil. I really don't. I don't think she did anything with Charlie. I think she's just not that bright. And what motivates her is a really naked lust for self-acclaim and that sort of thing. I don't think she wants to hurt people. I don't think she's smart enough. She's not a psychopath. She's a narcissist, maybe, or she's just a dumb person who has a overinflated ego, or a very insecure girl pushed into this by mommy the whole time. It's a combination of everything. So now they're going to drop her. Nobody's helping her, and Trump is actually standing with her. She's at this. I can't believe the Trump people are that stupid not to understand she's damaged good. Cash Patel is damaged goods. And why TPUSA says, do we really want to do this? Because remember, TPUSA is a 501c3. They're not supposed to be involved in politics. So I don't know if anybody knows anything.
Yeah. Let me ask you this. And I wish, like, I don't know how to pull something up on the screen. It's really interesting to me. Again, I watch the micro movements, right? They just kind of like blast at me. The whole, the hug, the performative, the girl knows how to find a lens like nothing I've ever seen. Plus, when I noticed this at the memorial, like she'll know, like when the music starts, like done, and her head goes up, and I was like, oh my God, she's going to do this. Like she's going to walk out on the upbeat, everything. Okay, so the photo opportunity of a lifetime, right? I'm going to nuzzle into Trump, and Trump's just kind of looking out, like he's even like this girl, like he's. But there is a literal physical push and pull. The man who is infamous for grabbing people's hands really tight and kind of pulling them forward in a power move. You can see it. It's well documented. It's not a secret. It's not a conspiracy thing. It's just what he does. And she latches onto him. He tries to step back, and she leans in. Yes. They get past that. It's time to go to the podium. He kind of steps a little bit to his right. She takes his hand, like she has his hand, and she, like a mom with a toddler who maybe walking down the aisle in church or something, and you don't want to make a scene. She does this kind of like, her face didn't do that, but she pulls his hand like, you are coming with me. And in that moment, I am like, who's in charge here? Who's in charge here? Because that was a power. There was authority in that. And that's not me. I wasn't looking for that. I don't look for any of this. I don't look for it. But I'm like, all right, God, you gave me some experience here, and I didn't look for any of this. I didn't look for her.
Naked, but you're right though. It's naked authority. Now, what do you think about J.D. Vance and others coming to her aid with this meaningless trope of she's a widow? I mean, this is almost a joke. Why are they still using that?
He's an opportunist. Like, why did he keep her around? You mean, or what?
No,
he's like, I mean, he's a hoe. He just, like, wherever he can get some.
Well, he's also a Peter Thiel Palantir creation, which nobody understands that yet. But let me ask you this.
I did a huge, about a year ago, I did a huge breakdown on that about, Vance very likely didn't write the book, that, they nabbed him, and it was, he owns them. And oh my God, Thiel's story, had a partner who unalived himself after a party where he was jealous. I don't know where that video is, but it's somewhere.
Let's talk about the trial. I'm curious, as a lay, I keep saying layperson, but as a potential juror, you might be. What is your take when you see Tyler Robinson? What do you think?
My heart hurts. And there's a post I did when I heard he was 22. And I'm just like, he's 22.
Mm-hmm.
He's 22. And what my thinking at the time was like, this kid's been radicalized. He's just been, these vulnerable kids, like you were saying, like if you're with your phone and you're radicalized, and because I have sons in that age range, my youngest is 25, and my youngest is 25. So to think about this 22-year-old, and I'm like, show me I want the evidence, right? So I was just waiting for, okay, well, they got the guy. I was surprised how long it took, but okay, they got the guy, and I was like, the governor's acting weird. There's something there, but
well, do you think
they got the guy?
Do you think he was even there? He was there, right?
Tyler,
Yeah.
that day?
Yeah.
From what I understand, yeah, but
Okay.
Candace has floated this idea that so were also several people that kind of looked like him,
Well,
that were dressed kind of similar, and so there was. And see, I just don't think Turning Point. They're just so freaking dorkily stupid. I mean, these pastors are just like
one thing
water
very
boys.
quickly. The TPUSA that Charlie was in charge of was the message. The TPUSA that we're talking about is the business part of it. It's the franchise, so to speak. Because Charlie wasn't stupid when it came. Charlie
No.
really made it. He knew what was going on. It's these people. So we say TPUSA, it's not his.
Yeah, but he didn't know. He didn't know what was going on.
No.
But he infamously delegated.
What would you talk
And
to
then
if I'm Tyler and this is because unless you talk to him, it's a very interesting thing. As a lawyer, you have to tell your client, I want to explain something to you. I'm going to ask you some questions. Remember, whatever you tell me, I can't tell anybody. But if you tell me you did it, I can't put you on the stand. Because I'm suborning perjury. So what I'm asking you is, I'm not asking you whether you did it. I'm just asking you, tell me what happened. And the first thing that people tell you is, I didn't do this. That you can't keep it out of them. I don't know what you're talking about. I'm a fucked up kid. I went there because I'm gay. I'm not. I got this guy with a woolly hat. I don't know what the hell's going on. There's somebody, I'll bet you there's a name. Who got you there? Well, I'll tell you how I got my. Why did you go to this place? Why? What brought you there? How did you know about it? What did you plan to do? For all you know, he says, I was supposed to meet somebody that was going to be some kind of a, who knows? We don't know this. And I'm sitting there, and all of a sudden I hear the crack of a rifle, and I look up, and they said, what? So you didn't do, so he was a part of a conspiracy, theoretically, he knew nothing about. How'd that rifle get there? I don't know. Did you bring a rifle? No. I don't know how that, well, your fingerprints are on it. It's my rifle and 5 others. And by the way, if you're my fuzzy cis-trans, Luna, Junebug, whatever the hell their nickname is, if I were to say, listen, Christine, whatever you do, don't talk to anybody. But listen, look under the keyboard. I left a note for you with full sentences that I've never written in my life.
That's how stupid they think we are. That's how stupid and you know what? I had just had it. And regardless of what side of the aisle you're on, how you felt about COVID or not, or every other freaking thing in the last 6 years, it was like, I'm not a scientist. I'm not going to pick apart, COVID, but this I know.
Right.
This I know. I know this.
And also, your son, your son says, son, are you okay? He says, Mom, I'm scared. I know. Granddaddy's rifle. What? Granddaddy's going to kill me. That's the least of your problems. What are you talking about, Granddaddy? What is with this heirloom? Grandpappy's shooting iron. What is he, Snuffy Smith? And then they say, the damnedest thing happened. They brought out these dogs. These dogs can smell a fish fart. And all of a sudden they couldn't find this gun. And the reason why is because it wasn't fired. And yet,
if nothing else, paving it over within 5 days, paving it over, cleaning the car and selling the car, not taking his phone. And she's talking to Glenn Beck. He didn't send text messages. And then she thinks she's being so driving home. And I have his phone. And how do I know that? Because I have his phone. Honey.
But that's also
why do you have his phone?
But that's evidence.
Yeah.
Also.
And then in that interview, she is sitting in Charlie Kirk. Charlie Kirk, in my mind, he's separate from her.
Yeah, I know.
But in his office, which she's like, I haven't been in here in so long. And look at this painting. And, this paper. And she genuinely, this was authentic. It was a list of not pros and cons, but one of the list had the word was loneliness on it. And she goes, and loneliness. And then her mouth doesn't move, but she's talking. She goes, that's interesting.
Yeah.
And then she puts it back, and then she puts it back down. And that's the interview where people noticed the wedding picture was missing.
And the reason why she moved it was because it could be closer for her daughter or something like that.
Oh, did she say? I never heard.
I heard something
anything.
well, I moved it down so my daughter is. My dream is to say, quick, what is either one of your kids' name? Cherry. Anyway, so then we have this. Then we have this incredible story of this. I don't know what it is. This rifle that isn't matched to anything.
No,
it's a rifle that's there with the scope. And at the top of the rifle, if you've ever seen this, by the way, if you've ever seen at the top of the rifle, this Mauser 98.
I thought you were getting ready to pull out a rifle. Did you guys think? I thought he was going to pull out a rifle.
I was going to pull out. I was going to pull out a lint. This is my lint brush, which is there. This is not linked to the assassination either, but I'm going to introduce it anyway. Okay. So anyway, but on top of this rifle, there's this little switch. It's a safety, and in order to shoot the Mauser 98, you got to flip this thing up so you can fire it. There's only one problem: when there's a scope on top, it hits. You can't fire it. So you're going to have experts say you can't fire this thing. And by the way, did you check Tyler's hands for GSR for gunshot residue? Did you check his cheek? And another thing too is, I don't know their names offhand, but I'd say, excuse me, assuming you're young man, you're in. This is you in this video, right? Is that you? Yeah. And you know what it looks like you're doing? It looks like you're taking SD cards out of the phone, out of the cameras. Why is that? Where are they? Isn't that called evidence? Did you let anybody know about that? So, and did anybody call 911? What was this instruction about my rules were to call Erica? Not.
And the guy, the bodyguard basically pushed him off the stool. He hadn't just collapsed off the stool. I mean, this guy almost like took him down. And yeah, they didn't wait for an ambulance or anything. They don't go to the nearest hospital. The guy, a newly appointed person, was at that other hospital.
Yeah.
They take down the cameras from the hospital.
This is Parkland Hospital, and Kash Patel immediately comes up with, we got him. And then we didn't have him. Then that crazy guy who drops his pants in the diversion. But then we have this one. Imagine this. You ask people all the time, and they will repeat a trope or a meme. They will say, he confessed. He confessed to his parents. Okay. I'd love to see this. State your name for the record. Robinson. And you're his mother, father? Yes. Did he confess to you? No. Well, I thought he called you. We said he was going to turn himself in. Why? Well, because we were told flat out, you don't want to be out there. Somebody would break in, all of a sudden you see these red dots all over you, and
they're going to kill your family, Yeah.
So why don't you do this? So just imagine this. We Mirandized him. Well, after you Mirandized him, he never said, oh, and by the way, I want to confess. It never happened. And then we learned this, and either it was Project Constitution or it was, I don't know, but if it was Barron or somebody, there were two scripts. The first script said that Tyler was going to say, the one, I couldn't do it. Top of the world, Ma. I can't live in no dungeon, no problem. Paraphrasing. And so basically that was the precursor to, self-harm by cop, that expression.
Yeah, that he was in the bathroom, that his dad couldn't get him out of the bathroom. And
the other one that showed up was, no, he said, no, I turned myself in because we have a neighbor. And by the way, this sheriff who just quit, I don't know where he went. So now it all changed. So the narrative is all screwed up. So they have all of these things in place. And then you have, in fact, I talked to Jimmy Dore the other day, and Jimmy does a great exposition of how he took this.
I saw, I watched you guys.
He took this rifle, disassembled it, put it down his pants, came down, took the screwdriver back, put it back together. They didn't find it. I mean, there are so many problems. Just so, going back to this young lady, I've got a gun that I'm going to move to suppress because it's not linked to anything. Because remember, a lint brush is not linked either. And number two, I have no confession. So, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, what exactly is going to be your evidence to find him guilty? You're going to just make it up? What? This is a dismissal. This is unheard of. They don't have anything.
No.
But
and
so,
the idea, I saw you and Baron like discussing this about how, I mean, because I track with you, like there's no sense to this, why it would move forward. And he's like, no, I think it will because of whatever.
That was, no, he believed that the preliminary hearing. I said, yes, of course. This preliminary hearing is very simple. It's rather archaic. Is there probable cause? Is there enough evidence to even go forward? And the best definition of probable cause I ever heard was somebody said, he probably did it. It's the easiest burden, and we move on. I'm talking about reasonable doubt. What jury could possibly say, now think about this, Christine. I'm finding him guilty because of he didn't confess. You can't link this. And by the way, wait till we get some experts in here. And I say, state your name for the record. Dr. Christine FEKETE. And Dr. FEKETE, what are you doing? I'm in charge of pathology at the university, whatever. Have you ever done any experiments with gunshot? Yes, I have. In a 30-06? Yes. On a cadaver? Yes. Do you have a film? Yes. This is a pig's head. Oh, this is a rather large head. Watch this. Boom. Now, imagine what it will do to soft tissue, and it doesn't even have an exit wound. None of this. It's like, have you ever walked into the wrong theater sometimes and you go, this doesn't look like, Gone with It. What is, we're in the wrong theater. That's what I feel like I'm in. I'm in the wrong theater.
And that's a good example of like, I don't know anything about bullets. So I see MAGA conservative military guys, diehard Trump supporters who I wouldn't necessarily go to for advice. But they know this because it's truth and it's science. It's there. And I learned, wow, okay, there's no way. What's mind blowing to me, and somebody pointed this out to me. This didn't even, light bulb didn't go off on its own, is that Turning Point, in essence, by pushing this, they are pushing this, that it's Tyler Robinson. They are pushing it. They're setting this kid up to die.
Oh, yes.
I mean, they're like, we want him dead, and not because of justice necessarily. There's no, boy, and you talk about nefarious characters. This Blake Neff guy.
Well, let me, but let me just say it this way. The way conspiracies get started, believe it or not, and the way things get planned is people sit around a room and they say, if we didn't have Tyler, we wouldn't have as much to worry about. Oh, yeah. And that's all this, it's all that's said. Nobody says we're going to do this, because if tomorrow you said, ladies, breaking news, Tyler Robinson was found or whatever, and they say, well, he was kind of weird and he was depressed, and they put him on, remember, the self-harm watch. And by the way, let's talk about that girlfriend. The first question out of my mouth to Lance or whatever is, did they grant you immunity from any kind of prosecution for not witness tampering, but harboring a fugitive, being an accessory, aiding and abetting, anybody? Because you're talking to him, and I don't think you called anybody. You didn't call the police. You were just reading all this stuff. And did anybody? So nobody.
When did he come into his life?
Yeah.
When did he? Where did they meet? I'm suspect of. If he could really have manipulated his way into there for.
No, but listen, if he gets her and he gets spooked and he says, listen, mister, I don't know what these people are about. I just had to I'm in Texas now. I don't know. Did Tyler ever say this? No. I mean, we talked about stuff, but we were too busy. We were lazy. We played games. We're not going to drive 3 hours. That's not our thing. Well, that's another one too. Don't buy the green bananas. None of the, who are these people? But see, the people who are running this never thought these people would be around because they thought that that first scenario, would have taken place. This would have all been moot. And where this goes, I have no clue. But there's
help me with this, because I heard Barron say this, that the plan was that Tyler would remove himself. Why? I don't know. Like why?
The same reason why the Butler fellow was removed, the same reason why Lee Harvey Oswald was removed, the same reason why Mr. Paddock in Las Vegas was removed. Get rid of the person about dead man tell no tales.
Yeah, but Barron was like that. The plan was that Tyler would remove himself, is what Barron had said. So I like, sincere question. I don't know where that idea comes from. Like, how was it planned?
There were two documents. One was either an affidavit, one was a charging document, but in one, the information they had was quote. There was this quote, the first one that said Tyler saying, I cannot live in a prison, or I cannot spend the rest of my life. I cannot do this. That was where this was. He never said that, but that was in this document printed from somewhere. However, since that scenario didn't pan out, this other version, which was accepted, was I wanted to turn myself in. And why the discrepancy, how it screwed up, who didn't follow, did somebody bother to tell Tyler, by the way, here's your script, you're screwing everything up by not harming yourself? I don't know. None of this makes any sense. All I'm saying is they better watch this kid like a hawk. And I hope these lawyers don't have somebody say, listen, you may think you're a hotshot with death penalty cases, but you're up against a group of people right here and a dark force, the likes of which you've never met. This is the shadow government. This is not anything you've ever dealt with. Don't ruin your career. Don't risk your life. Don't get stupid with some overzealous prosecution defense. You know what I mean? Because this...
Has that sunk into you at all that, that's the beast we're taking on? Yeah. I think that registered with me on a different level. Like, you know what? Because I was thinking about the spiritual warfare involved, because I did an Easter series that took me about 3 days to do. I'm talking like 12 hours a day, and it's only a little over 10 minutes of video, but I can research for 3 hours for something that ends up being one line. I just like integrity is really important to me. I love that about Candace. If she gets something wrong, I see her sometimes cast the nets wide and then see I see her play people like she did Tracy Martin. She'll poke the bear, and then you've got someone like Tracy that comes out and goes, well, I didn't do this because, or Erica didn't do this because she was here, and basically ends up confirming that Erica has no alibi whatsoever. Well, I know she was there with her mom that day at the clinic. How do you know? Well, she told me.
Let me ask you this question. What if you were one of the defense team and you know absolutely nothing about either law or the facts of the case, and I told you, oh, by the way, there's about 3 people, wolves in finance, or DC. I mean, these people who are like, who are they? And it's like, look, I don't know who these people are, but all of a sudden, if you look at them and say, you see that young lady? Yeah, she did a deep dive. You can't believe. You see that guy? He's a forensic accountant. You see that guy? They are spending. Anyway. Don't you think it odd? And I don't know if this has ever happened, where the defense never called any of these people and said, Candace, would you do us a favor? I'm going to send an investigator down to meet you. What are some of the areas you think? Because if you're a civilian, that's what I want to know. Because if you think it's important, the jury's going to think it's important. Where should I look? I'll bet you they never, because they're very territorial. I bet you never, ever asked these people that said, what do you find? Barron could send him through just 12 hours of all of the problems. And I'll
Well, we
bet
don't
you never do
we
it.
don't know that they're not. We don't know that they're not talking to
You
them.
know what?
Baron
I
and
hope they are.
Candace, they wouldn't. I would be dumbfounded if they weren't connected with Baron
He
and
said,
Candace.
he said they would, that they would let us know if he did that.
Oh,
But-
Baron said that?
Oh yeah, he said, I'd be more than happy to, but I'll let people know. I'm not going to do it behind the scenes. But
Well,
doesn't that
I
amazing?
think that's also like presidents that are like, yeah, I'll tell you about the aliens, and then they get into office and understand the bigger picture, and they're like, oh, okay, well, it was a weather balloon. Because there've been several presidents that have been like, I'll tell you what's going on. So I understand, like, I haven't watched Baron for long, but I can pick up enough of his character where I could see where he'd be like, I'm going to be transparent. I'll tell you if they reach out. But then they're like, okay, dude.
Listen, we
you know,
have, we've been talking about 2.5 hours, and I just want to, just because you've got things to do, and I thank you for this, but I want to just, if I could, just ask you this. You're from a spiritual realm. You have experience in this. You mentioned something right now. People are saying for the first time, I've never heard more people say that there's a sense of evil. I've never heard the word devil, Lucifer. The Pope wants 2,000 more new exorcists, an exorcist per parish. I've never, I mean, we've always heard this to an extent. Interestingly enough, we live right near where The Exorcist was actually filmed. So and in 1973, that movie changed our life. Do you think we are being invaded and contaminated by something that we will call evil, satanic, Luciferian?
Invaded. Well, it's always been here. I mean, it's always been here. I think what's happening is well, I know what's happening is that there's an awareness, that there's more of an awareness. There's certain spiritual energies around us that are just there, and it's funny even saying that, I mean, back in the day, the guy that was like, you got to wash your hands because you have germs on them.
Mhm.
And they sent him to an insane asylum. I think he died there. And then, later they were like, whatever. So there's definitely, there are spiritual things at play. And it's kind of like what we referred to earlier, like somebody being willing to say, I feel like something is like really oppressing me. Like, did you hear that noise? That's what we always hear in the movie. Did you hear that noise? And then the other person's like, yeah. So I think people are tuning into that. But what happens is, evil doesn't want to be exposed. Like a narcissist doesn't want to be called out.
No.
And they start kicking and screaming and, bring it back to Laura Loomer.
Now, I want to say one thing. I've never understood, again, being I was a Catholic of the 60s and loved the theology and loved all that stuff. And I never really understood the Antichrist. It wasn't really that big because sometimes Catholics were into certain things. That was from the book of John or whatever. But the idea of the difference between the devil and the Antichrist is fake. He's luring you. He wants you to believe he's phony. He's not real. He doesn't tell you he's evil. He's kind of a con man. That is going to be artificial intelligence. That is the perfect fit.
Well, if you're getting the idea of an Antichrist from scripture, like a biblical principle, it's actually a person. Like it is actually, and so people will say, oh, it's Trump or it's Musk, or no, it's supposed to be somebody that everybody really likes. That is very like alluring and who unifies in a very deceptive way. So
I wouldn't be surprised if it's not in the personification of it is going to be what artificial intelligence is. It's the great deceiver. So what I'm saying is, however we look at it, the personification, we are into a world that your grandfather, your father, your parents, your forebears would not understand. The evil then was a person. It was John Dillinger. It was Bonnie and Clyde. It was Ted Bundy. It was simple. It was a person, and we caught him, and that was it. The evil that we have right now has multi-layered. It's systemic. It's beyond anything that we've ever seen.
And see, my take is it's always been there. It's always been there, but the lights are coming on. It's like purifying
Yeah.
gold. That the fire is turned up, all the crap comes to the surface, and it can be scraped away. I do want to say, just because we're on the topic, people give demons too much credit. Like, there's one Satan. There's one Satan. The opposite of God, there's no opposite of God. There's no counterpart to God. A lot of people go, the opposite of God is Satan. No, the opposite of Satan is head angel guy, you know?
Mm.
So we elevate
Michael.
Satan's status. Yeah, I wanted to say that, and then I kind of like brain farted. So
Right.
yeah. So, and also there are more angels than there are demons. Now, I researched this actually today, ironically, because I had always understood that due to something said in Revelations that 1/3 were cast out. So there were 2/3 angels, 1/3. Those numbers are a little more, there's a lot of room for interpretation, but we know that the majority didn't like leave, didn't buy the lie. Also, we don't want to assign a flat tire to a demon if the demon didn't earn the
right,
the
right,
word,
right,
you
right.
know, like sometimes it's just a freaking flat tire. Also, we don't want to elevate the status of a demon. There's one Satan. There's one. So if it's like, not today, Satan, well, Satan probably in nearby, you know, but don't give it more power. We are more powerful. Greater is he. If we're going to go down this road, I'm going to speak the Christianese. Greater is he who's in us than is in the world. And that power is getting waking up.
I'm not even going to say that, and I appreciate, because I defer to your knowledge. I'm saying when everybody's saying something, that's when I pay attention. I don't care whether it's true or not. If everybody's saying, I've never felt more, or we're saying to the predation of children, we are seeing. I talked to a friend of mine. I've got loads of homicide cops and stuff. And he said, the old days, I said, have you noticed how things are just to the point of it's really bad? When we have a couple of things, when AI, for example, kicks in, and you're going to have AI built a CSAM, child sexual abuse material, that's not real, and they don't know what to do with it because the law is going to not be able to catch it up. What do we do with this stuff? Another thing which is important, listen to this one. I would not be surprised if one day we say that, yes, there are, of course, UAPs, there are extraterrestrials, whatever you want to call them. Yeah. And the Vatican astronomer, I'll dig this, the Vatican astronomer said one time, there was nothing inconsistent with Catholic theology that would permit you from believing in something else. The question is, will they have original sin? And probably not. We consider them maybe to be angels. Now imagine you're meeting somebody, and they're saying, what is this God you're talking about? And they said, we don't have that. What is this redemption and original sin? We don't have that. And wait till that. What do we do? Imagine,
yeah.
Anyway, so we are going to, I hope that people understand what critical thinking is. I hope their imagination is sharpened.
Yeah.
Because you're going to have your senses of reality and focus and expression and sentience taxed. And I don't think a lot of people are going to be ready for this. It's going to blow their minds. Because
I agree. I agree. And I've actually had experiences on 3 occasions with, So that's another road.
The occasion with what? What is this?
I've had, when I was 8 years old in Columbia, Maryland, my brother was 6. We were outside in the front yard, and a ship, whatever, like kind of like a Devo, that band Devo,
like the hats.
but upside down, not red, and with lights. We didn't talk about it for years. We didn't really talk about it. So my brother was here just about a year ago. And I said, Mike, let me ask you that, like, do you remember something strange? No leading questions.
Right.
Do you remember something strange? Yeah. What was it? Like, there was something in the sky. What color was it? Metal. Did it have lights? Yes. Were the lights white or colored? Colored. Did one of us go inside to get one of the adults? Yes. Who was it? Him. It was him. Who'd you get? Mike Levinson. And did he come out? Yes. I mean, it was the story that that happened. That was very real. And then once in Evansville, Indiana, I would we had a few acres, and I'd go walk, and far, a couple miles away up in the sky was kind of like a cigar shaped
Right.
thing. And I like, I knew it was something, and I tried to walk backwards all the way to like where my family was. And I knew as soon as I took my eyes off it, it would be gone. And then I woke up one night. I can't believe I'm just throwing this out there. I was living in San Diego, and I had a keyboard next to my bed, maybe like 4 feet from my bed. And I woke up, and I looked over, and there were two like grays that would be considered grays, but they weren't solid. And I was just like, not now. I mean, that was just kind of my reaction, was like, guys, like, not now. Like, and in hindsight, I was like, what the?
You know what? It's not fear. It's not fear. It's never fear.
There was no fear.
It's almost like you say, it's almost annoyance, or, oh, it's interesting. Isn't that funny?
And all the accounts that I hear from people, even people like near death experiences, but then people who have had verbal interactions, they're all like, yeah, if the God religion thing served you well to help you get by in life, like, that's good.
There was something very interesting. I have never seen an electron, but there are people who think so. So I don't have to see things, because but I remember one time talking, it was so funny. The number of people who have seen, you can't believe. My wife and I know May Pang, and she, of course, with John Lennon. And she showed me a picture. She said, when they were on the East Side, she said, we saw one, and she showed me the picture that John drew. He goes, this is what we saw. He said, we're not making this up. And immediately what people do is, it's so funny. He says this, you say this, and other people are saying that once you are not touched, but once you are communicated with, you will have a little antenna for the rest of your life where you have this sentience, this awareness that other people don't have. And it is there. And the thing about it is that when you meet people, this is the first time, they will say, you're crazy. Not your conspiracy theory. This isn't real. Or they'll make up some idea that somehow this is contrary to the notion of the Bible. But I'm saying all these people can't be making this up. John Mack, the famous Harvard medical professor, put people under anesthesia, said they were abducted. Benny and Barney Hill. There was one woman, I'm not going to, you would know her, very famous musician, who told us about her abduction. I'm not going to mention it, but this is all over the place. And nobody calls the police. So what I'm saying is, my message to you is, go to church, don't go to church, whatever you want to do, but open your mind. You don't need hallucinogenics, but if it helps, fine. But open your mind, learn to critically think, and learn critical thinking. And suspicion is not fact. Fact versus truth. All of these little gradations. Just get ready, because what you're about to encounter will blow your mind. And I can't wait. And you, Missy, are incredible. 2 hours and 38 minutes. I thank you for that. I thank you.
I thank you. I was just with Coach yesterday, and I started to say, I say some of the same things, and when you're in comedy, and even I told Coach I was struggling with this, because some of the stories that I tell are sometimes in, stand-up format. So I'm like, I don't know how to tell this story and it not sound like I'm on a stage, but I hate to be redundant for people who, if they had seen it yesterday too, but so thanks for being here. But it's just been really good to be with you, and I appreciate you very much.
I did stand up for years in the New York area, Caroline, all this place. And I found that those were jokes. If you want to go out and you want to slay people, kill them, tell them the truth. Just tell them what's going on right now. It's so absurd. They'll think you're making this up. Final word. How can people reach you? I will make sure you have a link to you here. How can people reach you, communicate with you? What do you want them to know?
That starting on Monday, I'm going to launch a podcast. I mean, is that what the kids are calling it these days? Is that what's going on? But yeah, I want to do this.
What the hell are you
love
doing? What do
this.
you call what do you call what you're doing?
What is this? What I'm doing right now, or the videos
What
that I've
do
been
you
doing?
do? What are those
I
videos
don't
of
know
the
what I do.
performances?
Oh, this is so random. I'm changing this up. This is so. I appear briefly in the new Michael Jackson movie. There's a Michael Jackson biopic, and I've been waiting a year to see it.
Where can we see you? Where do you pop up?
It's in the theaters. There is a scene. They're playing a song, because I had a line, but they cut the line because they ended up just doing like a montage, Michael at different scenes, and they go into a toy store, and the next scene is that he's at a children's hospital, and I am the nurse that escorts him in to see the children. And the line was, I have a surprise for you, and what sucks is that I would have gotten residuals for the rest of my life for that one line, but I am in the credits, like oncology nurse Christine FEKETE. Oh, what I was going to say though is I saw the scene was coming up because they were going into a toy store. I looked down to get my phone, and that's kind of like how quick I missed it. So I caught a glimpse of me in the background anyway.
Well, I'll have you know, I was in an episode of House of Cards, and whenever I get my check from SAG-AFTRA, 30 cents. It's like,
yeah. So you had a line.
Oh, a number of lines. Oh, yes. With Robin Wright. Yeah. So anyway, whoop-de-doo.
That is my, that's a woman crush of mine.
Christine FEKETE. Yes, please.
Let me, I'm so sorry.
Yes. No.
I got distracted by my Michael story. Our Think Happy Stuff company. This is a gift company I started back in 2006 when I was a stay-at-home mom and was struggling thinking happy stuff. So it's just a reminder to think on the good things.
Your website?
Mugs and t-shirts. Yes. thinkhappystuff.com.
thinkhappystuff.com.
And you guys keep us going with that. So thank you. We really appreciate it.
Thank you so much. You were terrific. My best to you. We had a slew of comments that we never got to.
I'm sorry, you guys.
No, but it was us. I'm sorry. It was a long time, and I'm sorry, but you've been through enough. Now we're going to watch to see what happened regarding the president. Is everything all right, honey? What's the bottom line?
Patel is talking right now.
Huh? They had to cancel it out.
Oh, Trump's going on right now. Should we watch this together?
Nobody understands how we got in there.
Nobody understands how. Nobody understands how the shooter got in. He did.
Trump is talking. Trump just literally said it's hard for her to ask a killer question right now, and I don't think he picked up on the irony or the pun.
Leave it to you to be so punctilious as to the paranomasia and very punny. We're going to put you in a penitentiary. Any event, thank you. We'll watch it.
Thank you.
Christine FEKETE, we will talk again. You were terrific. Thank you so very much.
Love you guys. Thanks so much. We'll talk soon.
All right. Thank you. All right, my friends, let me just tell you, you had some wonderful, let me go through the comments, some very, very nice comments from you. I didn't want to spend time. You were great. The trolls weren't bad either. Christine, that young man's, I'm going to make sure that young man's TPUS letter was fire. Thank you for sharing that. Thank you. From the former Washington Street foster care kid, Christine, thank you. She'll see all of this. I'm so happy to see you again on another podcast. Lionel, you are always a favorite. Christine, I'm so happy. Thank you. She still believes Kamala would have been better based on her comments with the coach. Does she believe there are no parties? Or is she full of it? Oh, come on. It's her opinion. It's her opinion. What are you going to do? Ed says, love you both. Analysis and humor. Great collab. Thank you for that. Let me see. That's that one there. Here we have Curious says, she stated Rogan was part of the reason we are in this trouble, which suggests she might not grasp that it's one system, two parties. All the best to her. I will follow. Yes, remember what I said, and I was saying this. Don't let particular political ideologies get in the way. Carrie says, I was watching White House Dinner Live. There were 7 gunshots. Yes, we're going to get to the bottom of that. How could they continue to charge Tyler Robinson with so much evidence to the contrary? Absolutely great question. This says maybe she won't be up to public outings for a while. We'll see that one. Erica is a perfect example of a Dunning-Kruger effect. Interesting. Thank you for this. Thank you for this as well. And let me see. Stop buying into left and right. No more division. I couldn't agree more. And thank you, Andy says that. Sarah Nunzia says the important thing is to bring right and left together to fight elites. I appreciate that. Thank you. We're almost done with this. Nobody cares because everyone's getting rich off the endless wars. Thank you. That Bella says I'm way behind, but wanted to say how much I love you, Christine. You're funny, positive, personable, beautiful. And if you lived in Texas, we'd be friends. I'll make sure she sees that. Thank you, Liz Choate. Kuwait, like in Kuwait. Electric Bookworm says it's odd how lockstep convinced TPUSA is of, yes, Tyler Robinson's guilt. Could not agree with you more. Are they stupid? If they're not, they sure look like a shots fired indeed. Anyway, my friends, thank you. You were tremendous. So, my friends, let me just say again, Christine FEKETE, I'm going to make sure you have it. I'm going to add to this her particular. I'm so fried. I got to get to I got to see what's happening there. Anyway, listen, I love you. Thank you so much. I'm speaking gibberish now. You're phenomenal. Please follow Mrs. Zelda, Lynn's Warriors. Thank you for this. Please like this video, subscribe to the channel, and also hit that little bell so you're notified of live streams and new videos. You were terrific. We love you. And don't forget, Monkey's dead. Show's over. Sue ya. Ta-ta.